I call a regular meeting to order at 6:04 p.m. and I announce that the board met. Hello? I announce that the board met and took unanimous action to approve the resignation agreement of a certificated employee. Today's meeting is being video recorded and will be available on the district's YouTube channel. Also announce that blue cards are available to table just outside the boardroom for anyone who wishes to address the board. If you wish to address the board, complete a card and hand it to its staff member at the table to my right. Please be sure to complete the card indicating whether the matter you wish to address is on the agenda or not on the agenda. If the matter is on the agenda, then we will assume that you wish to speak when it comes time to address the item on the agenda, and we will hold your card until then. Okay, we will begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Tony Perez has some nice words to read about our education partner, and he will call our partner up to the podium.
Okay, would you come forward, please? Florence High School representatives, honorees, Mr. Maria Liano and Mr. Infante. Emilio Infante. Get my little thing.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, good evening.
Thank you. Please.
Oh,
stand
excuse
up.
me. Oh, no. I got little things to say here, little words. Florence High School is honored to recognize Mrs. Maria Liano as our educational partner. The Elk Grove Unified School District recognizes the amazing benefits of the arts and fostering creativity and connecting students to schools. The performing arts rely heavily on parent volunteers to support our students at practices, performance, and competitions. Miss Maria Liano and Mr. Emiliano Infante are parents and guardians to 3 present and past Florence High School students. Nephew Mark Infante Sanchez graduated from Florence High School in 2017. Niece Estelle Cici Infante is a freshman, and a daughter, Yamale Infante, is a junior and is an active participant in Florence High School marching band. When Miss Liano learned that she could support our dedicated, hardworking band students, she eagerly volunteered to help. She keeps our students looking polished by hemming uniforms and sewing on buttons. Furthermore, she goes out of her way to prepare, donate, and serve food for the band to eat at competitions. Additionally, Mr. Infante is there by his wife's side, helping to cook and serve food to our hungry students. Miss Liano started helping because she saw how busy, involved, and committed the band students are. According to band teacher Mrs. Cartwright, Miss Liano and Mr. Infante are willing and eager to support Florence High School band in any way they can. Performing arts programs depend on the generosity of parent volunteers. Miss Liano and Mr. Infante of Florence High School thanks you for your dedication and service to our students. Thank you very much on behalf of our Elk Grove students.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is Denise? Oh, there she is. There she is.
Yes, thank you, everybody, for the teachers. So thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, tonight we will have student representative reports from two high schools, Florin High School and Franklin High School. And we will begin with Florin High School.
Good evening, President Fortuna, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. My name is Mariana Sanchez, ASB President.
And I am Michael Mendoza, ASB Vice President. It is our pleasure to be here tonight representing Florin High School.
The last few months have been busy and very exciting. Our homecoming rally, parade, football game, and dance were all major successes. Homecoming night was full of excitement, and we had two Sacramento news stations come out to broadcast the crowning of our king and queen. We also had media coverage of ASB's first ever pumpkin derby on the morning of October 25th. Teams composed of one student and one staff member partnered to engineer, decorate, and race their pumpkins with significant help from our Ag Tech design and implementation teacher, Ms. Bithorst. Good Day Sacramento came out to our campus to shoot the competition live as viewers watched staff and students raise their crazily decorated pumpkins down the ramps, enjoy pumpkin bread, and cheer on their favorites. In addition, the public got a glimpse of our campus, which ASB decorated with candy corn cutouts personalized for each and every student.
This year, we held an awards breakfast for students and parents in celebration of their academic success. Staff members, students, and parents enjoyed a wonderful breakfast together in honor of our students' accomplishments. Our ASB also gave thanks to our veterans on November 10th by displaying personalized flags and pennants in front of our school to show the community our appreciation. Staff members also received custom dog tags for their veteran family members and friends. Later in November, ASB and Culinary Arts supported the Florin administration for our first staff Thanksgiving celebration. ASB's decorated the dining area, and culinary teacher Scott Rice prepared the turkeys. Staff members contributed with side dishes, desserts, and appetizers for a true Thanksgiving feast. And we've added another student and staff competition in December with our inaugural gingerbread house competition. Culinary Arts baked and constructed more than 70 gingerbread houses, and ASB organized teams and rules. Just like the last contest, one student and one staff member will be paired, and on Wednesday, December 6th, tomorrow, teams will bring in their work in the morning for judging. We invite you all to this festive event, which will include Kelly McCown, executive chef from noted Sacramento restaurant, The Kitchen, as one of our judges.
Our academies and clubs have been busy these past couple of months. Our AVID program took the students to UC Berkeley and UC Merced to explore the campuses, and now they are fundraising for their Southern California college tour. Law Academy students visited the University of San Francisco, CSU Chico, and they went on their annual Yosemite trip as well. Law Academy seniors also presented the recommendations to the California Public Utilities Commission in October and participated in K-9 demonstration at school. They also participated in fall theater production of 12 Angry Jurors, where one of the Law Academy students had a leading role.
Our FFA and Ag Tech Academy students attended the 91st National FFA Convention in Indianapolis and traveled to Washington, D.C. to tour the monuments and the White House. FFA officers will hold their state degree presentations after the upcoming break. Florin Robotics are thriving this year. They've held 2 VEX competitions so far and placed second and third in the other. The program received a grant to build a hydrogen vehicle. Their next tournament is December 14th, 3:30 in the gym, and we invite you all to attend.
Florin Key Club attended Fall Rally North last month at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, where they, along with other Elk Grove high schools, competed for the Spirit Stake and to fundraise for charities. They also held their annual Awake-a-thon right before Thanksgiving break, where they spent all night playing games, activities, and so much more. Our Latino Success Club has also been active on campus and recently celebrated Dia de los Muertos during lunch with themed games, face painting, and music.
In athletic news, our women's tennis placed second in Metro League, and our women's volleyball placed fourth. Our football team competed hard against Valley High School to win the Highway 99 trophy for the second year in a row. And our cheer team partnered with James Rutter Middle School's cheer team to support our football team at every home game this season. The partnership between Rutter and Florin brought many James Rutter families out to our games and strengthening our relationship with our feeder schools.
Support options for students continue to expand with Upward Bound CRC soon to arrive on campus to prepare 60 of our students for post-secondary education. We also have World of College applications. We also have Pathways for Success on campus each month to help parents and students to navigate the world of college applications and financial aid. Modernization work continues, and we can see a major difference at our school from the new roofs, freshly painted buildings, and continued progress on the new track and field. We'd like to thank the board again for the upgrades to the place we all call home. And finally, as you know,
And I know that
every day is a great day to be a Panther.
Thank you. Now Franklin High School.
Good evening, President Fortuna, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. My name is Ashley Rehal.
And my name is Serena Fenn.
Franklin has been busy with many fun activities and events during the first part of the school year.
After wrapping up a successful fall sports season, which included playoff appearances from our football team, men's and women's water polo team, cross country, women's golf, and Jackie Tan winning the singles women's tennis championship, the start of winter sports is here. This year, 200 athletes are participating in our winter sports teams. The soccer teams had their first games last Tuesday. Both the men's and women's teams took a win against their opponents. Track conditioning is underway with practices held every day and sometimes even over the weekends. Both our women's and men's basketball teams had their first home games last Monday and participated in tournaments last weekend where they did very well. This should be a fun winter sports season, and the students and staff are looking forward to showing their Wildcat pride at upcoming games. The Franklin students, staff, and community are also eager in anticipating the completion of our new track and field and turf field. We know this project will bring many great memories to Franklin High School for current students and future students to play and compete on.
As for activities, Franklin kicked off the school year with Link Crew Tailgate on the 25th of August, where freshmen had the chance to enjoy food trucks, games, a variety of activities, photo booths, and more. The week after tailgate, Franklin held its annual Club Rush, where students filled the quad and had the opportunity to sign up for one or more of the over 50 clubs on campus this year.
The second week of September, homecoming festivities at Franklin began, and the theme was Blast from the Past. At the homecoming rally, students filled the bleachers, played games, watched performances, but most importantly, listened to the announcement of homecoming royalty. The following week, students decked out in spirit wear for Spirit Week. Monday, they dressed up as Movie Character Monday, got creative for C-Day, went all out for Wacky Wednesday, threw it back on Blast from the Past Thursday, and brought out the school spirit on Franklin Friday. That Friday was also our homecoming parade, which displayed the clubs Franklin has to offer, the class floats and spirit trucks, and lots of Franklin spirit. On Saturday, more than 1,400 students attended the homecoming dance, where they had the chance to dance their heart out, enjoy photo booths, games, and free ice cream.
At the start of October, Franklin's Theater Company put on the Halloween show, which gave students many scares and many memories. The week term 2 began, Franklin battled it out at the Battle of the Sexes rally. The boys did try their best, but the girls took the win. Franklin also hosted its annual Challenge Day, where students expressed themselves and opened up through group activities and workshops. October ended with Franklin Theater Company's fall show, The Crucible, about the Salem witch trials. The cast for this production did an amazing job.
At the beginning of November, Franklin geared up for the Powder Puff Rally and game. The This is always a huge event on campus as students from every class show spirit and some friendly competition. The freshmen beat the sophomores and the seniors took a win against the juniors.
Just last Tuesday, Franklin took over the Golden One Center. Our fusion dance team, band, and cheer team had the opportunity to perform at the Kings game. They performed before the game and during halftime and represented Franklin High School very well.
As for academics, the students at Franklin prepared very hard for the PSAT on October 11th. This year, 781 students took the test. With UC applications opening on November 1st, Franklin's Career Center hosted many workshops to help students strengthen their application and prepare for the college application process. As the applications were due Thursday last week, our seniors were busy adding their final touches and submitting their applications to colleges not only throughout California in the CSU and UC system, but across the country. Some seniors are finishing up private school applications, and then the anticipation will begin for acceptance letters in the early spring. We are confident that our Wildcats will be admitted to many prestigious institutions to further their education after high school.
On November 1st, Franklin held its Term 1 Academic Awards Night to celebrate students that had earned a GPA of 3.5 or higher. Awards were also given for passing an AP test from the previous school year and completing over 100 hours of community service. This year, almost 1,400 students were invited to the Fall Academic Awards Night. And as is evident from these numbers, the students at Franklin High School are performing very well academically.
President Fortuna, members of the board, Superintendent Kaufman, and Ms. Avalos, we thank you for your time and consideration this evening and look forward to our next report with you.
Thank you.
We thank you. Board would also like to recognize the school principals, Denise Escobar, Principal Florin High School, and Chantel Albiani, Principal Franklin High School. Thank you, students. You're free to go whenever you choose, and we enjoy the reports. You did a great job. Thank you. All right, next we have recognition of the No Excuses Go to School Attendance Campaign poster. Contest winners, Ms. Sante Pinkerton will be presenting, and Ms. Nancy Chairus Espinosa will be representing the board.
Good evening, Board President Fortuna, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. Tonight, I'm here before you to recognize this year's winners of our No Excuses Go to School Attendance Campaign poster contest. So this is the 11th year of the successful campaign, which supports students being in school every day. I'd like to make sure to thank members of my team, Ms. Suzanne Thibault and also Sandy Dosange. Together, they really run the program. And so they support the students. They also support the staff with making sure the attendance campaign, as well as all our other attendance campaigns, go off without a hitch. So for the poster contest, elementary students are asked to illustrate the phrase, "Have fun, #at school every day." Secondary students were also asked to illustrate the phrase, "Be active, #at school every day." So of all of our illustrations, 12 were chosen as winners, and the illustrations will be printed as posters, which will be distributed to each school site to promote student attendance. So the winners, when I call your name, please come up to be recognized. Most of you are here. I think there are only a couple that weren't able to join us this evening, but I'll call everybody. So first this evening, Miss Brittany Adams is not here this evening, but she was one of our winners from Jesse Baker School. Also, unfortunately, not here is Olivia Egbarauer. She's from Joseph Sims Elementary School. We have Miss Riley Cooper from Folks Ranch Elementary School. Joining us, please come up. Congratulations. And we'll have them all over here, so parents, if you want to come take pictures after we're done, we'll have everybody on this side. We also have Jessica Snodgrass from Florence Markhofer Elementary School. Also, Miles Martinez from Helen Carr Costello Elementary School. And next is Jenna Zecki from Sunrise Elementary School. And Jewel Lacroix Salvio from Harriet Eddy Middle School. And Carson Sears from Joseph Kerr Middle School. And from our high schools, Elena Jimena from Joseph Kerr Middle School. Not quite yet high school. Now we'll go to high school. Henry Zhou, Monterey Trail High School. And Ishraq Hussein from Sheldon High School. And our last person is Janina Turkanu. She's not here. She's with Sheldon High School, but this is also her artwork. So please, congratulations. Give your big applause to all of the student winners this evening.
Parents, you feel free to come up and get closer if you want to take your picture. It's pretty tough from behind.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, contest winners. Good job. Thank you. Okay, now I'd like to call on Ms. Jennifer Avey for recognition of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. Ms. Bobby Singh Allen will represent the Board of Education.
Good evening, President Fortuna, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. The Board of Education is asked to recognize Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated for their contributions benefiting students at Union House Elementary School. Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated is a leading international nonprofit community service organization with more than 500 chapters in the United States, Bahamas, Bermuda, Canada, Germany, Korea, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. This sisterhood organization has been dedicated to service for more than 95 years. One of their signature national programs is Operation Big Book Bag. Chapters around the world take time each year to collect school supplies in their local areas to be donated to local schools. Last year, Union House Elementary was a supply donation recipient of these generous donations. The monetary equivalency value was approximately $1,500. Over the years, the donation to the Union House has equated to more than $4,000 in school supply donations. This year, Union House Elementary has again been chosen to receive a donation of school supplies on behalf of the Eta Alpha Sigma Alumni Chapter, which serves the greater Sacramento area. This year's donation for Union House is approximately $1,000. This evening, members of the Eta Alpha Sigma Alumni Chapter will present this donation to the school leadership. I'd like to welcome and introduce the chapter members. And then joining them will be Principal Stoppelman from Union House. Anna Trinnell, President. She's also our Director of Curriculum Professional Learning and a current parent in the district. We also have Mabel Hawkins. She's the Western Region Coordinator of the Rower Club, a mentor club for girls ages 12 to 18, and a former EGUSD administrator and parent. We also have Drina Freeman. She's the financial secretary. She's also a current principal of James McKee Elementary School and a former parent in Elk Grove. Joining them is Rhonda Staley Brooks. She's a chapter member. She's currently the executive director of the Nehemiah Community Foundation and a current parent of 12th grade twin boys. We also have Belinda Rab Patterson. She's Sergeant at Arms and a current vice principal in the Washington Unified School District. And then their last member tonight is Cindy Coleman. She's a treasurer and she's also an assistant nurse manager at UC Davis Med Center. Thank you, ladies, and welcome.
Principal.
And joining us is Principal Stoppelman.
Good evening, President Porcina.
Good evening, Anna.
Members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. It is my pleasure and honor to accept this recognition on behalf of Eta Alpha Sigma Alumni Chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho Incorporated. We are so honored to be able to serve our community and provide donations of school supplies to schools like Union House, and we couldn't do it with excellent support like Principal Stoppelman. Thank you so much, and we would like to present this check, which is a recognition of a culmination of donations over time, now equating to $5,399.44.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to our annual organizational meeting. And before I open it up and call for motions for the various positions that are open, I would just like to publicly thank my colleagues for the confidence they had in allowing me to serve the board and the district and the community this past year, and in particular to Mr. Chet Madison for the kind words that encompassed his nomination of me last December. And with that, I call for nominations. for President of the Board of Education. I see Ms. Singh Allen's hand is up.
Before I make the nomination, I think it's a good time to maybe just recognize some of the great work that you've done. I know you're very humble, so this is my opportunity, and hopefully the colleagues, before I make the nomination, I'm going to ask that I go back to that. But it's been a true pleasure. You're sort of my partner in crime when you started your journey as a school board trustee. I can't think of anybody who works harder than you do. Your energy has no measurement. And I know that this last year has been hard. Gonna get emotional here. But here we are, and your heart is so big, and you have done so much already as a school board member and as a president. Your heart is of gold, and I love you dearly. Thank you for serving with honor and integrity and always elevating our district. And my sincere wish for you in the coming year, for you and dear Susie, is health and prosperity, but health first and foremost. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
If others want to chime in, and then I'm ready to make a motion.
I'd like to take this opportunity as well to thank you, Carmen, for the excellent service that you have provided, above and beyond what you have done as a school board member, but what you've done as our board president this past year. Bobby hit it on the nose. Your work ethic and your level of energy are impressive, and they set a very high bar and a great example for all of us, I think. I know it's very difficult for you to operate at anything less than 100%. So I am sure I'm not the only one who would prefer to nominate you for one more year, but I want to thank you for putting your health as a priority, because that way we get to keep you even longer. So thank you so much for your service this past year, and I know you're not going anywhere, but just for not seeking another nomination. You've done an excellent job, and we look forward to that day when you tell us you're 100%. And watch out, world.
Yeah, just a few words. I think my colleagues have summed it up pretty well. And my nomination last year came to fruition. I always thought that you would do an excellent job, and you immersed yourself into this district, as I asked you when you first came on the board, to learn the district, to go in and out, and you did it. I don't think there's one school that you have missed of going out to meet the principals and staff and kids out there. And now I just wish you the very best on the recovery and the healing, and we look forward to you serving with us as a board member.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I always end up last, so that's all been said. But, I appreciate all the hard work you've done, and please know we're behind you in this battle. I think you know.
Thank you. Hey, Tony?
Well, I'll let everybody know, when I met this gentleman, we ran for this position. And when I interviewed him, I actually interviewed him because I didn't know him. But he comes to this board with vast knowledge and experience from other school districts in California. He came to this board with vast amount of knowledge how to run school districts. And he has been my mentor. He has been my moral model. And the only thing I would like to tell him, slow down and keep, and number one issue is keep your health. You're not as rich a man as you are when you have the good health. And so the only advice I would like to tell him right now, slow down a little bit, enjoy life, and smell the roses.
Thank you, Tony.
Okay. And like I said, he's a great man, and throughout my experience as a board member, I learned a lot from this gentleman and my fellow board members, but he brings a vast amount of knowledge to the board. And thank you for supporting him and us as board members.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Bobby?
All right. Well, since I'd like to make a motion. Being board president requires a lot of work, dedication, availability, or great organization skills, and knowledge, institutional knowledge, and knowledge on what's important for school districts. And my colleague, Miss Nancy Chaitis Espinosa, our clerk, has done an amazing job this year. And she's gone through the Masters in Governance training that California School Board Associations provides. And she's also done an excellent role filling in when our colleague was unavailable, and has stepped up to that plate with great honor and integrity. So I would like to make the motion for Miss Nancy Chaitis Espinosa for our incoming board president.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? We have a second. Can we have a roll call, please, Lee?
Beth Albiani. Carmen Forcina.
Aye.
Chet Madison. Tony Perez.
Aye.
Bobby Sing Allen.
Aye.
It is unanimous then. We have a new president.
Mr. Forcina, if I may, again.
Pardon me?
If I may, for the vice president or
Yes,
clerk.
go ahead.
Another colleague has also stepped up to the plate and has gone through and completing Masters in Governance, has done an excellent job with representing our school district, and volunteers on numerous committees representing our great district. I'd like to nominate Ms. Beth Albiani as our incoming clerk.
Okay, we have a motion for Beth Albiani to serve as, and I'm going to take liberty here from our last board workshop, as vice president clerk. We need a second.
I second.
We have a second from Tony. Flutie, roll call.
Carmen Forcina.
Aye.
Nancy Chaitis Espinosa.
Aye.
Chet Madison. Aye. Anthony Perez.
Yes.
And Bobby Sing Allen.
Yes.
Congratulations, Beth. Now we need nomination to elect the board representative to the Sacramento County Office of Education.
And our current question is, who is our current representative? Is it Ms. Albiani? Would you be willing to serve again?
Are you still interested?
You've done it twice, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Is anybody else interested?
Do we have anyone interested in serving this next year's representative, Sacramento County Office of Education?
Are you interested, Mr.
You
Perez?
interested?
No, I'm thinking of Dr. Martinez.
She's going to be out of it.
She's gonna
she's
gonna
gonna
have
be
her
out.
hands full for a bit. I will nominate Mr. Madison. We'll see if he's interested.
Are you
You interested, Mr. Madison?
All right, we have a nomination.
I'll
for
second.
Madison, seconded. Flutie, roll call, please.
Beth Albiani. Aye. Carmen Forcina.
Aye.
Nancy Chaitis Espinosa.
Aye.
Anthony Perez.
Yes.
And Bobby Sing Allen.
Yes.
All right, congratulations, Chet.
Congratulations, Chet.
All right, now I'd like to call for a motion to establish the date, time, and place of meetings for the coming year as the first and third Tuesdays of each month at 6 p.m. and closed sessions at 5 p.m. when necessary, with the place of the meetings being determined by the Secretary to the Board of Education. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, it's moved, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Then that is done. Okay, now it's presentation time. Do we do it right here? Do it down there?
I gave it to myself last time, so I don't know.
I know. Let me do that one. Okay, so. Okay, you use this gavel as simple as serving as president of the Board of Education.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Honor to present this gavel to you, Mr. Forcina, our outgoing president, but thank God not our outgoing board member, for your example and your service.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you. Not going anywhere. All right, Beth, you're going to move.
If you'll give us 1 minute, the rules say we have to switch now. So So our apologies. All right, Miss Albiani, are we ready to go? Ready as we'll ever be. So, moving right along, we are on resolutions, and next item is the observation of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. birthday. Ms. Charlotte Finnessy is going to present.
Good evening, President Nancy Scheides Espinoza.
Oh, now you guys are going to have a pronunciation lesson. No, that was perfect. That was perfect.
Give it to me. Did I say it right?
You did.
Perfect. Members of the Board of Education, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. The Board of Education of the Elk Grove Unified School District is asked to adopt Resolution Number 38, 2017-18, which resolves that January 15, 2018, be affirmed a celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. Rationale: when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. proclaimed the words, "I have a dream," he changed the course of civil rights in America. Because of his sacrifices, the American people have made progress toward his dream for a world in which people are judged on the content of their character rather than the color of their skin. Dr. King's nonviolent approach alerted the American people to the injustice of the treatment of people of color and has served as an example for all who wish to correct inequalities. His birthday reminds all educators of our responsibilities and privileges to assist our students in developing their skills to reach their dreams for achievement and to preserve a nation which practices equality for all. The instruction in the Elk Grove Unified School District acknowledges the contribution of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Teachers employ a variety of activities, including lessons from the K-12 World of Difference curriculum, assemblies, presentations featuring highlights of Dr. King's life, and speaking and writing activities based on the I Have a Dream speech. For the financial impact, there will be no cost to the district, and you have the attachment of the actual resolution. So again, the board is asked to adopt the resolution, number 38, which resolves that January 15, 2018, be affirmed a celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Finnessy. Members, I'd like to call for a motion to adopt resolution number 38, which
I move resolution number 38.
So moved. Moved and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Thank you.
I see no opposition. That was unanimous. Okay. We do not have any expulsions today. Public comment. I'd like to call on anyone. Let's see. So all the blue cards I have are for the SAW item. So call on anyone who'd like to speak to an item not on today's agenda. We don't have any blue cards for that. So seeing none, I'm going to close that public comment opportunity and call for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move to, it's new. I call for a motion to, I move to approve items 1 through 30 on the consent agenda.
Do we have a second? Second. Whichever one one you want to take. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Measure passes unanimously. Jumping ahead to reports. Oh, actually, I'm going to jump ahead to bargaining units. Are there any bargaining units wishing to address the board? See. Oh. Okay. Better? Better? Okay. I will get closer. Thank you for letting me know. All right, so no bargaining units. Moving ahead to reports. Ms. Shannon Hayes is going to present regarding the Finance Committee Annual Report. It's a team effort.
Good evening, Ms. This is going to be really hard. I apologize.
You'll get there.
Good evening, Ms. Chires Espinoza, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. Tonight, we bring to you the Finance Committee's annual report for 2017. The committee is comprised of appointed community members and student representatives from the comprehensive high schools and alternative schools. And tonight, to present the report to the board is our co-chairperson, Mr. Zhou.
Good evening, Board. Madam President, congratulations.
Thank you.
My name is Zhou. I'm currently the Vice Chair of the Parent Finance Committee, Advisory Committee. My colleague, John Ryan, was unable to make it. He had a prior commitment, sends his regards, but he and I both served in a capacity this whole year. I wanted to first start by thanking some of the staff of the district that was very instrumental in helping us understand the finances of the district and in understanding our role. Shannon Hayes, as well as Kerry Hargis and Chanel Burbistondo, I didn't mangle that, were very instrumental in helping us. We appreciate and we hope that we'll be able to work with them again next year. We had several meetings this year, including meetings with the superintendent, regarding staff recruitment and retention, and the implementation of Measure M, as well as the school bonds that were passed recently, as well as a meeting on the research and evaluation functions of the staff. Some of the highlights were meeting with the superintendent. It was great to have the superintendent meet with us and be very, set the agenda for the whole year. We hope to continue to do that this next coming year. In fact, we hope to have you as our first speaker making a presentation. One of the other meetings we had regarded staff recruitment and retention. Very informative regarding the district's efforts and vision for recruiting new talent and developing existing staff. And the committee recommends, given some of the information we've been provided, that the district continue providing the necessary budget needed to continue these efforts, particularly to ensure the staff reasonably reflects the demographics of the district. We know there's efforts being made, and sometimes it requires a little bit more money to recruit individuals outside of the locale, and that may require some additional travel and job fairs. The committee realizes the expenses associated with these efforts and recommends that there is appropriate monitoring in place to ensure that the district is getting the maximum benefit from its investment. Another one of the topics that the committee reviewed was your Measure M implementation. We had a very informative meeting with regarding the district's vision for utilizing the new Measure M bond money as well as the state propositions for the funds. The committee encourages the district to identify required activities in order to move forward as quickly as possible on the projects. We hope that they don't lose out on funding due to administrative and/or planning inefficiencies. We encourage the plan for to plan for significant new workload and challenges for the staff with the onset of these new funding streams. For example, project prioritization, selection process, fiscal accountability requirements, which are required by the bonds, increased training, coordination, and oversight of existing staff and consultants due to the new and increased workload. We also met with your staff to understand what types of evaluation and research are necessary to make sure the district's policies are efficient. We realized that we could use more valuable and critical research and evaluation as the demand for information, accountability, and transparency increases. The committee supports increased funding and resources for this function. We also met with student representatives twice this year. We might want to scale that back to just one. In the incoming year, we found some redundancy in what a lot of the students were saying, including, for example, they were generally satisfied with the district's programs. We did a survey just to get a sense of what their feeling was towards a lot of the programs that the district runs, and there was a lot of satisfaction, it appeared. One of the concerns that they raised was whether or not there was enough classes regarding, as they refer to it as real-life skills that, since not all the kids are going to be going to college and necessarily right after school, that there be some greater emphasis on courses that will help prepare individuals to immediately enter the workforce and just how to balance a checkbook and do similar kinds of things that one would expect somebody who is an adult as they turn 18 that may encounter. And they also agree that the hardware and software technologies and tools need upgrading. That's a consistent thing we've been hearing. The committee recommends that the upgrading of the hardware and software be a district priority. Students also felt that the schools are relatively safe and the teachers are extremely talented and dedicated, which I guess will reflect the fact that the recruitment effort is pretty well expected. Some students felt that the other students' attitudes needs improving. And keep in mind that the individuals who are coming to our advisory committee were generally the student leaders, and generally going to be more engaged than most, but they do evince a concern that some of the students who aren't always necessarily involved in the student organizations are not engaged, and there are some schools that we were advised that had better programs that were a little bit more inclusive of everyone and made it more of an aggressive effort to get everyone involved. The committee recognized that some of the schools are focusing on the engagement issue and that the district may want to study those successful practices and expand them throughout the district. Not surprisingly, as we migrate to different technologies, we had some of the students express some discomfort with migrating to the Synergy system, and I suspect as years go on, more people will get comfortable with it, as well as their parents, like being one of them. The committee feels that the time and continued use of the new system will resolve this issue. Students feel that also that the Chromebooks need to be made widely available, and that they be made available in all subjects and in all sites. Students also have felt that there's not enough time for honors and AP students to take the aforementioned, or previously mentioned, life school, real-life courses. They may need to have, I don't know, one thought was that they be provided an opportunity to take them online, since if you're taking AP and these honors courses, you may not have a lot of extra time to do it in class, but maybe possibly have them offered online. Committee realizes that a strong focus on college preparation is important. However, we recommend that the district pursue a balance that better prepares students for life after high school. And the committee encourages the district to look at creative ways to give students better access to these types of courses. Again, online courses and partnering with local businesses. Generally, the committee felt that the district's doing a great job with the money it has, and it continues to encourage you to be great stewards of the public fisc. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ayala. Do we have any questions for Mr. Ayala?
I've got comments.
Okay, let's.
Oh, go ahead.
We'll start over here.
Okay.
Go ahead, Chet.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I just appreciate all the work that you folks have done throughout the year and bringing the report towards the end of the year. And also, I'd like, if there's other members here, could they please stand too and make sure well, just one then. Okay. Well, thank you for all your hard work on that.
You're welcome, Mr. Madison.
Carmen, did you have any questions or comments?
Joe, could you get more into the issue of student recommendation funding for non-elite programs?
As I mentioned, a lot of the students who showed are usually going to be your student body presidents or your other students who are rather engaged and generally doing better in class, or at least taking the classes that are more challenging. Nevertheless, they recognize that some of their colleagues may not, and that there still needs to be curriculum that sort of addresses their needs, including some courses that deal with life after school, and they didn't think that there was enough classes that were available that would be beneficial to those students who aren't going to be in the AP Physics or the other more difficult classes. As well, and they mentioned that some of the students who are taking the AP classes don't take some of these other courses because it doesn't necessarily help their GPA, but that they may feel that they're necessary, or they're, especially during their last year of school where life is coming at them quickly.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'd also like to echo Mr. Madison's words and say thank you to you and all the rest of the members of the Finance Committee. Certainly, one of the committees I took a lot of interest in from day one, and it has and continues to have just an important function in terms of having a different set of people look at what we're doing from a different perspective. So the recommendations are always helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. We do have a lot of talented people, and I don't want to give the impression that it's a one or two person show. We have a lot of people who bring a lot of talent and different perspectives to our committee.
Right. Thank you.
Ms. Albiani?
Hi. Hi, Mark. I started on the Finance Committee. That was my first toe into being in the district. So I appreciate your work. I understand your work pretty well. And I just wanted to say I think meeting with the students was always my favorite part. It was always the most interesting part. They were leaders, but I think they're very thoughtful students. I always found them to bring a representation of a group of people and not just themselves, as you mentioned. I agree wholeheartedly with students' interest in access to life skills. It's something we talk about. We do have a pilot handling at one of our high schools that hopefully we can keep continuing, seeing how that's working out, how we can fit it into schedules. I agree wholeheartedly with that. And appreciate your work and your time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Continuing down the line, Mr. Bettis, do you have anything?
Yes, first of all, thank you and the committee. I know a lot of you personally, and I think you guys do a great job in inputting and giving input to the board and to our staff. I was wondering, within the survey, were our students interested in technology, STEM, and coding in that arena?
Yes, actually they were, Board Member Perez. In fact, I believe one or two of them were either in an academy or a concentration that had that, and they recognized the importance of that. It's just maybe not as popular,
right?
But to some of the students who understood it, they were eager to get enrolled in those classes.
Right. Well, the reason why I asked is the fact that I attended the California School Board Association uh, conference this weekend, and that's what they were saying. That 20 years, our jobs within the community are going to be highly technical skills, and so I was wondering if the students know that or pushing that.
Yes, and in fact, a few folks, young people had came and they seemed to suggest that some of the technology of the district could be improved, and we're understanding that technology becomes outdated quickly. As soon as you have it implemented throughout the school, sometimes it becomes outdated, but some students are very interested in it, and particularly I can recall a young man from Laguna Creek who's appeared before the committee twice, and quite frankly may have spoken over our head regarding technology that was needed.
What about civic engagement? Did they mention anything about participating in maybe political races or getting more knowledgeable about, their entitlement now that there's a new law that they could actually register to vote now? I mean, register to vote, right?
Yeah, no, actually, we didn't hear a lot of that. I don't know if that's because it's not going to be an election year coming up, and maybe people were a little tired from the last one that just happened. But I am aware of some of the laws that have passed recently, and maybe that might be an effort in some of the social science classes or history classes to bring it to their attention. It's something important to do, since you will be able to vote as soon as you get out.
And I always have been an advocate for real life skills, how to balance a checkbook and a variety of real life skill, what do you call it, abilities and things that you need to survive out there in the real world of work. For instance, how to write a resume and application.
Correct.
In your career, also vocational education. Did they mention about anything like that?
Yes, a lot of them are aware that not everybody is going to go straight to college. It might be community college, but there's still a lot of important jobs out there in the vocational ed. Auto mechanics, we still need them. We still need HVAC folks, and that can still be a good career path. So we did have individuals who brought that to our attention. And we do recommend that those types of courses be offered.
Well, thank you. Thanks again, and do an excellent job.
You're welcome.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you. I think a lot of the comments have already been made, but I do want to recognize all of the hard work that the committee puts in volunteering to meet regularly and producing this information for the board. I also recognize, along with what sounds like what your students are reporting back, we do an excellent job on college and career readiness, but really focusing on and recognizing not every child goes to college, and making sure that we have opportunities and resources available to them with vocations and trades and other options. We need every person in this room will fulfill a very unique need in all of our lives, and it's not always comes with a fancy degree. So I recognize the importance and value of all of our vocations that are out there, and perhaps expanding those opportunities and resources so that they're available and they know of those options as well. So again, thank you for all of your hard work, and I look forward to filling my vacancy here. My appointee resigned just several weeks ago, so I will be filling that before the beginning of your next meeting. So thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you again, Mr. Ayala. I'd like to just echo the thanks to you and all of the members of the committee for the time that you put forth in gathering this information. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good night.
Thank you. Next up, Ms. Hayes will be presenting regarding our annual audit.
Good evening again, Board. Education Code 41020 requires an annual financial and compliance audit of a school district's financial statements and internal controls. The Board is asked to receive the 2016-17 district-wide annual audit report, including Measure M general bond obligation, financial statements, and performance audit. The firm Crow Horwath LLP was engaged by the Board of Education to conduct the audit, and Mr. Matt Nathaway, certified public accountant with Crow Horwath, will be here to present the board tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for allowing me some of your time this evening. I got to be honest, I have a little anxiety when I was told I only get an hour to present the audit reports because, I mean, that is just not near enough time to talk about audits. So, no, in all seriousness, I do realize you have very important items on your agenda, and I appreciate the opportunity to spend a few moments talking with you about the annual audit. As you're aware, and we've discussed in the past, the audit doesn't give you a score or a grade as a result of the work that's done. But there are some real important indicators within the work that we do for the board. And we had an opportunity to have those discussions with management. And I would like to call your attention just to a couple of things in relation to the report. The first is there are 3 different areas that we spend our time. We audit the financial statements of the district, we audit state compliance, and we also audit federal compliance. So there are 3 main areas. For each of those areas, we issue an opinion on the financial statements. And for all 3, we have issued an unmodified opinion, which means that we are indicating that the financial statements are fairly presented, and we had no compliance exceptions noted for either state or federal compliance. We also note that we had no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in internal control. In fact, we only made 1 recommendation in relation to internal control, and that had to do with vacation policy and accrual carryovers that we've discussed in the past. We also had no audit adjustments, nor did we have lesser or smaller dollar differences that we identified through the audit process that we would accumulate and make you aware of. So we had no discrepancies that we identified in relation to the work that we did on your behalf. These items are all indicators in relation to the financial statements, the fact that we don't have audit adjustments, the fact that we don't have significant deficiencies and material weaknesses, and there's an extensive amount of compliance work done that we had no exceptions related to that. And it really does speak to the credibility of the financial information, not only included in this report, but also that you get throughout the year that you're using to make your decisions on for the school district. It'd be very difficult to operate without sound internal controls, without policies and practices in place, and then get the records cleaned up in time for the audit. I'd also like to just communicate that not only do we work with your finance staff, but we work throughout the district in various departments, out at school sites, ASB personnel, attendance personnel. There's a lot of individuals that work very, very hard throughout the year in order for us to be able to come before you this evening and provide the results in relation to the audit. And really the team should be commended for the results of this audit and the information that's contained.
Thank you.
Also want to highlight that for the first time this year, we're engaged to do a performance audit for Measure M bond and a bond financial statement audit. Both of those documents are required to be provided by the board, by the district, to the Citizens Oversight Committee. And we have issued those reports, again, unmodified opinion, exactly what you'd be looking for in those documents. And we will be presenting that information to the Citizens Oversight Committee in January. So with that, I'd like to answer any questions that you may have of me about the audit process or the audit report.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll start at my left this time. Any questions? Okay. Mr. Perez, do you have a question?
There was another issue that your findings findings or recommendations was various school sites and the budget of the student stores. Again, what can we do?
Yeah, so you're referring to the status of our prior year findings and recommendations. And so through all of the work that we did this year, we did not have any findings or recommendations in relation to student body accounts. We don't visit every school site. We do sample the school sites. But I will tell you that your team's approach towards providing training, support, and information to the school sites has really led to the point where we had no issues that we found in relation to internal control.
Okay. So your recommendations that school sites should implement and consistently apply proper control procedures in order to protect.
That's prior year.
Oh, yes. 2016, one. Well, it's the last page. That's what I'm reading.
Yeah.
That's what they did last year, so this year it worked.
So we followed up on that in the current year. That was part of our report last year when we stood before you. And through the testing that we did, we had no similar findings to report in the current audit cycle.
And right underneath that, you have the same thing, 597 employees exceed the maximum days permitted. That same thing? That's the same findings that you mentioned earlier, what?
Yeah, so we have a similar finding in the current year, a similar recommendation that's found on page 94. So if you back up just a couple of pages, you'll find our current status of that particular item and our recommendation in relation to it.
94? Okay, very good.
Is that it, Mr. Pettis?
You mentioned that you look at compliance of state programs. What about LCFF? Do you do one of that?
So on page 84, we list all of the various state compliance areas. There are a couple of items that relate to LCFF. Number one would be the unduplicated local control funding formula pupil counts. So we do some testing in relation to that.
84.
84.
Okay. And you do what?
One of the items that we do is we do testing related to the classification of students. So there's funding that you receive for the classification of students as English learners or free and reduced price meals, as well as if they're duplicate in both. And so there's a number of items that we have to test in relation to that. And then probably the other thing that's most closely aligned to that would be our testing of the local control and accountability plan. So we actually do some testing of the expenditures in relation to the district's plan.
How thorough do you do that? Do you just choose one school or two schools or the whole program?
So the way that we provide our testing is to actually start with the various activities that are a priority of the district, and then from within them, the district will provide us listings of expenditures in relation to those various areas. And so we'll sample across a number of different activities to ensure that we don't look at just one. It's not based on the school site, it would be based on the activity or the plan overall.
The district-wide versus school?
Correct.
You don't go to the actual school level?
Correct, it is not at the actual school level.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions on the audit report?
I don't have any audits. I think it's pretty well indicative of our overall team staff in the Elk Grove Unified Schools District, the job that we're doing, and you just brought that out. So kudos to all the team members that made this audit in a positive manner. Thank you.
Mr. Fortuna? Thank you. All right, nobody else. I just want to add my thank you to your report and our thanks to the staff. It's nice to have that student body funds item not come back in the audit this time, and hopefully next year we'll get that vacation accruals item taken care of. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have to accept that report officially. So I'm going to call for a motion to accept the 2017 annual audit report.
Second it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is approved unanimously. Our next item is under public hearing. The public hearing to consider a charter petition from Gateway Community Charters. Just for clarification, because we have two consecutive items, come on up, Ms. Hamilton, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm trying to distinguish the purpose of these two different items. So item number one is about establishing public interest in the charter, and the second one is our actual discussion of the petition as a whole. Is that correct?
That's right. Ed Code requires that in consideration of the authorization of a petition to open a charter school, a public hearing must be held to find out what the public interest is. And so we will be starting this process tonight by asking you to open a public hearing for that purpose. Afterwards, I will follow up with a report for board discussion on staff evaluation of the petition.
Excellent. So at this time, I'd like to call for a public hearing to receive comments regarding this petition, and I do have some blue slips, so.
And as has been our custom in the past, when we have evaluated charter school petitions, during the public hearing, we do invite the petitioners to give a 10 to 15-minute presentation about their proposal. And so I know that tonight we have a couple of speakers. Maury, do you want to come up? Okay. Maury, I'm sorry, I don't remember your last name. Elliott, okay, is the principal of SAVA in the Sacramento region. And Jason Sample is the Director of Communications and Strategic Planning? Okay. So they're here tonight to tell you a little bit about SAVA, and then I'll be back.
Okay, thank you,
All right.
Ms. Hamilton. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Director Hamilton. Good evening, Board President Charles Espinoza.
Yes, just before you get started, I see a lot of students filing in. Don't be shy. Please take a seat. You might be standing for a while if you try to stand the entire time.
All right. Good evening, Board President, members of the Board of Education, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. I am Jason Sample. I'm the Chief Communications and Strategy Officer for Gateway Community Charters. Also in attendance with me tonight and standing here is our lead petitioner and superintendent of Gateway Community Charters, which is Dr. Cindy Peterson, who is in the room. And then standing with me tonight and joining in this presentation is Assistant Superintendent Michael Gillespie. There he goes. Our CBO, Aaron Thornsberry. And then the principal of Sacramento Academic and Vocational Academy, Mr. Maury Elliott. In front of you and what we've handed to you is a packet with some additional information as well as our presentation for your reference tonight and for some late night reading if you need it. So we are here tonight on behalf of the students and the families of Sacramento Academic and Vocational Academy, really as a result of the Anderson versus Shasta Unified Shasta Homeschool Court ruling. GCC and SAVA, we have been serving students in the Elk Grove community for the past 10 years as a result of a discussion between the superintendents of the Grant Joint Union High School District, Sacramento City Unified, and Elk Grove Unified at that time. To our core is the mission to serve these students and provide quality school options to them while partnering with local school districts. Okay, there we go. So a little bit about Gateway Community Charters, just so you'll know a little bit who we are. GCC, our Gateway Community Charters, is a local nonprofit charter management organization with 15 years of experience, operating 7 charter schools across 18 locations in collaboration with San Juan Unified, Twin Rivers Unified, Yolo County Office of Education, and then with the approval last month of SAVA Sac City Unified School District, we are proud to partner with Sacramento City Unified to open our 8th charter in the 2018-19 school year. GCC is led by our superintendent, Dr. Cindy Peterson, who brings credibility to our work by bridging the worlds of traditional schools and charter schools. She serves as a member of the AXA State Board, the FICMAC Board, as well as the EdSERS Board. In addition to our superintendent, we have a board of directors with experience in education, nonprofit management, business leaders, as well as community leaders, including our board president, who is a former superintendent, Lily Campbell, who coincidentally was recently named AXA's Outstanding Woman Leader of the Year for Region 3. Through this leadership and these exceptional leaders, the GCC provides central office services such as instructional support, human resources, purchasing, accounts payable, receivable, budget and fiscal oversight, facilities, community engagement, as well as professional development to all of our charter schools. Currently, we have about 500 employees serving approximately 4,500 TK through 12th grade students in both site-based and non-classroom-based models. With an annual budget of over $70 million, and our employees have, for the second time, earned us the designation of Sacramento's best places to work in Sacramento for the educational organization category of the Sacramento Business Journal. So tonight, we are here just to share a little bit about our program, and Maury Elliott, as well as Michael Gillespie and Aaron Thornsberry will share some more information with you, and then I will join you at the back end of the presentation. Thank
evening, Board President Chavez Espinoza, members of the board, and Superintendent Hoffman. Again, my name is Maury Elliott. I'm the principal at Sava. At Sava, it's our mission to reach and serve students in our community that need another chance and another option with their education. Similar to Elk Grove Schools, Daler, and Rio Cazadero, Sava has met the criteria and applied for the Dashboard for Alternative School Setting status. Over 70% of Sava's student population meet the criteria for DAS eligibility and fit into at least one of the 11 CDE qualifiers, which include students who are significantly credit deficient, foster and homeless students, and pregnant and parenting teens. As a DAS school, we will use an alternative measures such as credit-eligible graduation rates, retention rates, in addition to our CASP scores to measure progress and growth for our students. Sava Elk Grove will be a non-classroom-based charter school with an emphasis on career and technical education. We have a history of success with our students, with over 150 graduating per year over the last 5 years. Approximately 50% of our graduates have been 5th and 6th year seniors who succeeded because they were given hope and another chance in a unique school setting focused on meeting each of their individual school needs and offering relevant, rigorous, and engaging curriculum and career training. The work we do at Sava to prepare our students for both college and a career aligns directly with the key components of the Elk Grove School District's graduate profile. Our CTE programs and career pathways promote creative problem-solving skills and technical literacy. Our independent study setting, where students can take charge of their own education with the support of credentialed teachers on campus, promotes communication, collaboration, and self-discipline. Our service learning program, which is a graduation requirement for all students, promotes community engagement. It's our goal to ensure that every student is given an equal opportunity to graduate with the greatest number of post-secondary options available to them. Sava provides these opportunities to our community's most vulnerable, unserved, and underserved students. I'd like to take just a few minutes to show you a very short video, just to give you an idea of what learning looks like on campus at Sava. So Jason, if you click that, and maybe sound a little bit if possible.
Sava is a charter school, and we specialize in really personalizing education for all of our students. We believe every student has a way that they will
top right.
Sava is a charter school, and we specialize in really personalizing education for all of our students. We believe every student has a way that they will learn best, and we are able to provide small group and one-on-one settings with our teachers for students to get that tailored education that meets their specific learning styles and learning needs.
One of the things I love the most about working at Sava is definitely the students. They're students that sometimes can otherwise be forgotten about. They're students that have gone through things in their life that I wouldn't even want to have to go through as an adult.
I love when they come in here and they have smiles on their face, and a lot of them talk about their usual dislike for school and how their feelings of school were before they got here to Sava. And then after a while, they kind of start to own their own education.
What we want to do is make sure that when kids graduate with a high school diploma from Sava, that they are prepared not just to go to college, but prepared to go into the workforce.
Without Sava, I probably wouldn't be in school. Probably wouldn't have had the opportunities to get into all my college classes, to get good grades, to just be able to go further.
Well, as you can see, we have a number of key components built into our educational program that promote student success and help us achieve the outcomes desired for our students. At Sava, we ensure students graduate college and career ready through our CTE career pathway programs. Over the last 3 years, we've received both the Career Pathways Trust Grant and the CTE IG Incentive Grant, and those dollars have helped us create over 11 different career pathways, 35 different CTE courses offered on campus at Sava, 16 of which are articulated with local community colleges, so students are able to earn both high school and college credit at the same time. We offer standards-aligned core curriculum through a digital platform called Edgenuity. And through this curriculum, we utilize a variety of teaching methods and styles to meet the diverse learning needs of our student population. We have a senior capstone class as part of our graduation requirement, which includes career exploration and other career services to make sure students are ready for life after high school. We promote a safe learning environment and foster emotionally healthy and engaged students through a program called Capturing Kids' Hearts. We believe that building positive relationships with our students is the key to establishing the foundation for a successful educational program. Our staff has done such an outstanding job with this Capturing Kids' Hearts program of building relationships with students and creating a positive school culture that we have actually been named a National Showcase School for this program. We empower family and community members to be an integral part of our educational program, and you can see by the turnout tonight that we have a lot of community support for our school. We've demonstrated and will continue to demonstrate operational excellence with the support of GCC and hopefully upon approval of this charter with Elk Grove School District as well. As a staff, we love, we teach, and we guide every student that walks through our doors, no matter what challenges they have experienced. We believe that all students can be successful if given the right learning tools and the right learning supports. We have a 10-year track record of effectively providing academic and career services to thousands of students in our community, and we look forward to continuing this work in partnership with Elk Grove School District. At this time, I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce our Assistant Superintendent, Michael Gillespie.
Good evening, Board President Chairez Espinosa, Superintendent, and members of the Board. My name is Michael Gillespie. I am the Assistant Superintendent of Gateway Community Charters, and currently Twin Rivers is the special education provider for 5 of 7 of our charter schools. The other 2 charter schools are members of the El Dorado County Charter SELPA, and so we work in partnership at SAVA and several other sites throughout the Twin Rivers Unified School District to provide special education to our students. Currently at the SAVA Elk Grove site, 51 students out of the 303 enrolled, or 16%, are special education students. 95+% of the students who come to SAVA Elk Grove already come with an IEP in place. And over the past 2 years, there were 5 initial IEPs that occurred at SAVA Elk Grove. So as is proposed in the charter, SAVA Elk Grove will be a member of the El Dorado County Charter SELPA. And as I said earlier, we have 2 schools currently in partnership with that SELPA. We are a member in good standing with the Charter SELPA, and over the last 4 years, we have had 0 instances of data noncompliance, which means our IEPs are happening in the way they should, and we're documenting them in the system. We do clearly understand that the legal requirements for special education, the independent study setting, are unique. The legal and federal definitions that we have to comply with is that all students must be admitted to a charter school regardless of disability. State law says that in order for a student to be an independent study, an IEP team must decide that that is an appropriate placement for them. So what happens at SAVA Charter is that we admit all students, and then after 30 days we have an IEP, or prior to 30 days we have an IEP looking at their prior IEP from another school or district, their current present levels. We assess students if we need additional assessments, and then we make a determination if this setting is appropriate for them. If the decision is yes, then the IEP team devises an IEP plan for that individual student. If the decision is no, under our proposed charter, it is our responsibility to make sure that we find the appropriate placement for that student, whether it's a non-public placement, a partner in the El Dorado County Charter SELPA, or another placement. The IEP process at SAVA will be very similar to other schools and districts as outlined on this slide. The independent study setting enables personalized and differentiated instruction for all students, including students with IEPs. Supports for special education students include labs where they get one-on-one attention from paraprofessionals. They have an RSP teacher and an assigned teacher to support their needs. Ingenuity, which is a new curriculum that we're implementing, is an online curriculum, and there are many supports built in to support student learning. In your folder, there are references to how that happens in the Ingenuity platform. They have text-to-speech, highlighting tools, translation into primary language, defining words that are highlighted that the students don't understand, and close reading tools. Right now I'm going to turn this over to Aaron Thornsberry, our CBO, to talk about the financial aspects of our charter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, President Chairez Espinosa, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman. I'm proud to say that SAVA, as well as all of the Gateway community charters, have operated with excellent internal controls. SAVA has never had one reportable audit finding and has always had clean audit opinions. Our funds are held in the Sacramento County Treasury, and we contract with the Sacramento County Office of Education to use their financial system, which is QSS, issue warrants, and audit accounts payable and payroll batches, just like most other school districts in the county. SAVA has been fiscally successful and responsible over these last 10 years. It has grown to have total net assets of $6.1 million, consisting of reserves of $4.7 million or approximately 47% of its annual budget. GCC, same, has also been fiscally responsible with net assets of over $53 million and reserves of over $25 million. This past financial performance allows GCC to continue to support and guarantee the financial success of Sava Elk Grove. Our management is well experienced in the area of fiscal administration. I have 16 combined years of experience in public school finance, with 4 years auditing charter schools and 12 years as a CBO managing fiscal operations for them. I was also accepted into and completed the FCMAT CBO mentorship program in 2011. In addition, I manage a team of 7 highly qualified individuals in our business services department, and our superintendent CEO, Dr. Cindy Peterson, also sits on the FCMAT board. To maximize our budget and provide resources to our disadvantaged students, we maximize our LCFF concentration grant by reporting to CDE all the districts that we are located in. You will find in your packet communication from CDE that allows reporting the headquarters of the charter school as one of the district locations to compute the concentration grant. Cash flow for new charters is always a consistent concern for authorizing districts. And to address that concern, I'm pleased to inform you that we have an ongoing line of credit from Wells Fargo in the amount of $2 million that we've consistently had for many years. We can also internally borrow from within the GCC, since we have over $20 million in cash reserves. With that, I'd like to conclude and turn this back over to Mr. Sample to conclude our presentation. Thank you.
So board, in conclusion tonight, we have a number of supporters, and we're not going to have them all stand and speak, but I am going to ask them all to stand in support of our school. So those who are here tonight in support of Sava, please stand. As you can see, there is clearly a showing of community support as well as the good work that Sava has done these 10 years. And again, we are only here tonight as a result of the Anderson court case, and we are also excited. Finally, I would like to express our appreciation to your team, to Superintendent Hoffman, to Director Hamilton and her team, for really such a collaborative and open process. We are excited to have this opportunity to partner with the district and to have ongoing conversations and communication. We're also very confident that all the findings that district staff has found really can be handled through our continued partnership, collaboration, and communication that has already been established and that we're very happy to continue working with. As such, we welcome you to take time and visit our campus and our site and learn more about our program and see the great things that are happening. Tonight, thank you so much for your time, and we are happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Sample. All right, do we have any questions regarding the presentation? Seeing none, thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to proceed with the public. I didn't see any. Do you have a question on the presentation?
Yeah, I'm looking for the LCFF concentration. You mentioned concentration, Department of Education issue.
Yes, so I'll,
What page was that on?
Trustee Perez, I'll have CBO Aaron Thornsberry kind of address that for you. It's also in your packet.
Where?
So on the left-hand side, at the back, it is from California Department of Education.
Oh, this?
Yes.
Was that the extent of your question, Mr. Pettis?
No, not, well, go ahead. If somebody else has a question, go ahead with them.
Do we have any other questions? Mr. Forcina.
Good evening. Good seeing all of you again. Of the students that currently are enrolled at Sava Elk Grove, can you off the top of your head have a percentage that is indicative of those kids that got to Sava vis-a-vis recommendations from counselors of Elk Grove Unified School District schools?
Yes, thank you. I will ask Principal Elliott if he has that number off the top of his head.
Well,
over 95% of our students are Elk Grove resident students.
Who specifically referred them, I don't necessarily have that data collected, but I know most of our enrollment comes, well, one, word of mouth from students. When a program works for students, they tell their family, tell their friends. And I do not know if we are specifically, because we're not currently an Elk Grove charter, I don't know if on a list that Elk Grove counselors actually recommend to students, but our students come to us primarily from EGUSD schools.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance certainly to read through everything as yet. If the petition were granted, where would the board meetings be held?
So the board meetings for Gateway Community Charters, very similar to many school districts. We utilize the CSBA Agenda Online platform, and so our board meetings are held at our corporate office, our headquarters, which is on the base of the McClellan Air Force Base. Now, what we have done with other charter authorizers is we will hold a board meeting within that jurisdiction, i.e. We have a meeting in Yolo County for families in West Sacramento to have access. We have a meeting in San Juan Unified to allow families that go to our Gateway International School. And so we would similarly have a meeting here within the Elk Grove.
Okay. Could you share a little bit more in depth in your relationship with the community colleges that help makes your career technical programs work?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So you have a green brochure, it's about 16 pages in front of you, and that will in detail outline our entire career technical education program, as well as our articulations that we have at local community colleges. So throughout Los Rios, we have 16, well, throughout Los Rios, Sierra, and Modesto Junior College, we have 16 different articulations within different CTE pathways that we offer at SAVA. I have exactly 12 of those with Los Rios community colleges, so more local.
Given the size of SAVA, why do you think you've been successful in having that number of opportunities?
Specifically with the number of kids enrolled or the number of career tech classes?
Kids enrolled, yeah, with respect to the number of classes you do offer.
Students
Yeah.
in the district, and really in all the local districts, students realize that not every kid is built for a 4-year university. You know, we're going to do everything we can to make sure every kid is college and career ready, but some students want to go into the trades. And that's really one of our main focuses, in making sure that for that student, we're going to help them. Students that come academically behind, I mean, one of the data points you'll see in the charter petition and in some of the documents in your packet tonight, our average student at SAVA comes to us in the 11th grade, 1 full year credit deficient, testing 4 years below grade level in both reading and math. So these students have some work to do to get caught back up and to be ready for life after high school. And when they see opportunities through these career tech programs, their eyes light up. They now have a passion and a desire to come back to school because they are truly engaged every day. Students don't, we are classified as an independent study school. Students don't have to be on campus every day, but our average student is on campus between 2 and 4 days a week because they want to be at school. We provide engaging opportunities that for them, they just couldn't find in the traditional school setting.
One last question. Can you give an overview of your teenage parent program?
Sure. So we have, it varies, you know, by the date that we look at the data, but we have anywhere from 25 to 45 pregnant or parenting teens enrolled at SAVA at any given time. We have a teen parenting specialist that runs parenting support classes for these students. When you walk onto the SAVA Elk Grove campus, you'll see our teen parenting specialist, who is also a fully credentialed teacher, so she has a regular caseload as well. But we have her located in a classroom where there is a separate nursery right to the side of her. So we invite these young moms to bring their young babies into school with them. They're able to, you know, be there while they're in school. One of the hang-ups for these young ladies is often if they want to be in school full-time, the traditional system doesn't accommodate for that because they don't have childcare. And our program is set up to accommodate for that by allowing them to bring those kids with them to school and still have a place to learn every day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Madison, any questions?
Yeah, I don't have any questions this time. I'd like to defer so I can learn a little bit more about it. Thank you.
Excellent. Ms. Albiani?
Thank you for your presentation and your information. I'm with Mr. Mattson. I'm going to take some more time.
Great, thank you.
I have a question.
Wait, can we let Ms. Singh Allen go first? I think she had some questions. Okay, just because he already had a turn.
First of all, thank you for your presentation. Just some observations that were important, at least for me, and I by no means am a master of this presentation. I'm going to spend some quality time over the break, and one of the things I do want to do is visit the campus, so if you let me know who best to coordinate that with, I would like to do that.
So that would be me, and my
Okay,
contact
and
information
it's in here.
is-
Okay,
yes,
very
so
good.
we-
That will be important for me. Fiscal viability and sustainability is very important, so I appreciate the information that you did share. On its face, I did notice that some of your findings do support some of our information from the Finance Committee, so I just wanted to recognize that I did see that in your report, as it just the contrast from what we just had earlier. I do appreciate the small group focus of the work, and specifically for at-risk students. And then the preparation to go into the workforce, that's definitely very important, not only from what we hear from our student populations, but in general. That's a very important aspect, so I'll be looking for more information on that. Let's see, other important areas, I do want to see more of the clean audit opinions. You mentioned that you're fiscally responsible. It was mentioned here on the slide, so that's very important for, I think, any school district, because we do hear the horror stories of other charters who literally shut doors, and then you have, the displacement of students and families would be a nightmare for any school district. And what's in the best interest of students is always very important to me, and also just the families in general. So that's going to be something very important. I mentioned visiting the campus, and I do appreciate the community support that's come out here. That's always very important as well. So just thank you for your overall presentation, and I look forward to really sort of rolling up my sleeves and reading this further. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee.
Mr. Bettis, back to you.
Let's see. What's up? So, thanks for this. It's very informative. I went to the LAO's office and the requirements which charter schools have to comply with. I looked at that sheet. So, okay, it's my understanding that you want to establish since you have a corporate office someplace within the school, the Sacramento County, you want to set up satellite school sites within our boundaries of Elk Grove Unified School District to serve students?
No, so Trustee Perez, we have previous, the law was such, we call it before Anderson, the law was such that an independent study school, a non-classroom based school, could have a resource center in neighboring districts. And so 10 years ago, there was a discussion, a conversation between, at that time, the superintendent of the Grant Joint Union High School District, which now is Twin Rivers, Elk Grove, and Sac City, to allow SAVA to operate in those three districts. Fast forward to last year with the passage of the Anderson ruling, it basically said that we needed to have a transition plan. We had to apply for a State Board of Education waiver, receive a one-year transition plan to go and approach the individual districts where we have been operating and providing services and support. So this is not us starting a new satellite. It's actually us coming to seek local authorization for a school that has been authorized and renewed at this point twice through the charter renewal process in Twin Rivers. And so now we're coming to seek authorization here with Elk Grove. So it's not opening a new satellite site.
That's what I don't understand. If you're coming to our board seeking authorization just to recruit students with our school district like that?
No, we're already serving, I believe Maury said about 95% of his population is already Elk Grove students.
Okay.
So if you came out to visit our site today, you would
Okay.
see students, you would see programs operating, teachers, staff. What it is all of those staff members, teachers, and programs are currently authorized under Twin Rivers. Next year, with the passage of the law, we have 1 year to come into compliance with the new law. That school would just go away. would no longer exist. So with us coming to Elk Grove, we are seeking authorization such as we did with Sac City because we had a significant population in Sac City Unified. So we had to go to Sac City and seek their authorization to operate our 2 sites in their district. And now we're coming to you to seek authorization to continue operating and serving our students here.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier regarding, what percentage did you mention that the students had IUPs or
I believe, Michael?
20%.
There are currently 16% of the students at Sava Elk Grove with IEP plans.
Okay, and then, okay, I wasn't clear about, once they get there, they take an IUP. Well, was there a recommendation prior an IUP to go to your school?
No, in most cases, students self-select to come to our school. They fit the profile that most other students fit that come to Sava. They may have credit deficiencies. They may be having social and emotional issues at the comprehensive high schools. So many of them come already with an IEP, but in order to be compliant with state law, we have to hold, in any situation, anytime
Once there's a
student
change,
moves from one
okay.
school to another, you have to have an IEP after 30 days to see if that's an appropriate placement. So we do that to make sure that we're following the law and that it is the right placement for those students.
Oh, I see. So, so it's self-referral by parents and students solely, not through the school district or another juvenile court or whatever?
No, almost all students that come to Sava, they all have to self-select to come there because it is a charter school.
Okay.
So even if they're referred to come here by someone, they would still have to choose to come to Sava Elk Grove.
Okay.
And so the students with IEPs are doing just what other students, the other 84% of students who choose to come to Sava, except that we have to make sure we follow the law once they do arrive to make sure that it is the right placement for them.
Well,
Mr. Perez, I remind you that this is the first of 2 items. The discussion is actually coming up next, and we're going to hear about the petition as a whole. So if we could move forward, we've been on this
yes,
presentation
well, I just
for
want to
30
thank you
minutes.
for your great presentation, and bear with us. To me, it's a new project that we have, and I support programs like this. We have, charter schools within our district, and so.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, moving forward, I'm going to call on those of you who have submitted some blue slips and remind you that you have a maximum of 3 minutes. If you don't need the whole 3 minutes, don't feel obligated to take them. And of course, if you find that you're repeating comments that someone else said previously, just feel free to, say me too. So first up is Pat Ainsworth, and Pat will be followed by Ryan Connolly. It's not a requirement, but I'd sure appreciate knowing if our speakers live in the Elk Grove Unified School District.
Good evening, new President Charles Espinosa, Superintendent Hoffman. My name is Patrick Ainsworth. I come to you tonight to speak in support of this great school. 5 years ago, I was Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Education, College and Career Readiness with the California Department of Education, and had the perspective of being able to see quality around the state. After my retirement, Dr. Peterson asked if I would come and spend some time looking at Sava and working with her staff on improving the vocational side of the house. And I've got to tell you, after that experience, this is the first time that in my 45 years in education that I've stood in support of a school, in support of a charter school. When you go there, you will be amazed. You see the dedication of the staff, you see the quality of the operation you've heard about tonight. It's very educationally and physically sound. I am especially impressed when I go there to see students in these career technical education courses, students who were not successful in school, who were those forgotten students. They're now back in school and wanting to stay there. An independent study school that students want to come and spend more than the minimum amount of time there. It is actually stunning, and Maury's had to chase them out because they need to close the building sometime. The education programs are really high quality. The career technical offerings are excellent. Elk Grove has some of the best career technical education programs in the state. I think this will complement what's available in your district and really expand the capacity of this community to serve a forgotten population. So I think when you approve this charter, you'll find that they'll be a really good partner in your educational work in this community. And I thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Ainsworth. Up next, Ryan Connolly. After Ryan will be Robert Visker.
Board, trustees, and superintendent, it's my honor to be in front of you this evening. My name is Ryan Connolly. I'm the lead faculty in the construction program at Casumas River College. I'm also the department chair with many of our programs, including architecture, construction management, building inspection, among others. And so I learned a lot this evening listening to the presentation about the administrative side of what we're really talking about here with authorizing the continuation of use of SAVA in the district. You asked if we would identify ourselves as Elk Grove district residents. I am. My mother's a retired teacher, my sister's a current teacher, my brother-in-law's a teacher, both my children. One's recently graduated and one is still enrolled in Elk Grove Unified. So I live here, I teach here as well, and I want to kind of let you know that I came in not very familiar with all of what was going on. But when I was asked to come support SAVA, I didn't even stop to skip a beat. I said, of course. I'm very familiar with the construction program, in particular that they offer at 2 of their centers. I'm a very strong supporter of the instruction as well as the administration that runs them. And while I didn't really know the politics and the nuts and bolts of how this would work, I came as an ambassador of career and tech ed in our community. I am pretty intimately involved in local workforce development, economic development with building and construction and design. So I came to advocate for seeing the value of increasing capacity of Elk Grove Unified to meet that demand that we see in our community for specifically trades related, but the other vocations that SAVA also does. So I'm happy to be one of the programs that articulates. We do articulate, I heard that come up in the questioning. I'm not sure of all the others, but we do encourage students to consider community college coursework as part of their completion of SAVA work, as well as kind of adding validity to the merit and the academic rigor that they do receive while taking credits there. So that was what I wanted. That was my platform that I came on. I want to make sure it's public record that I support the programs here in the district, both from a CTE educator, but also a parent and a resident within the district.
Thank you, Mr. Connolly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Connolly. So Robert Visker. Do we still have Robert Visker? Okay, and next up will be Lisa Kwasnick. Feel free to correct me.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Robert Visker. I currently teach construction programs at SAVA. I also teach, I'm an adjunct professor at Casumas River College, Sierra College, and previously I'm a retired faculty emeritus at Sacramento State University, where I taught in the kinesiology and athletics department. I was formerly director of strength and conditioning at Sac State and assistant football coach. So I've also spent 25 years as a general contractor. Makes me pretty old.
Makes you pretty busy.
And I'm here to speak on behalf of the SAVA CTE programs, where we have 13 pathways and 35 courses. And I feel like the students that we work with at Sava, they find options other than academia sometimes in the vocational areas, you know, in the trades. We have amazing teachers, and I know that because as a football coach and an employer, I've been a great evaluator of talent, and I recognize talent. And the teachers that I've met at Sava are amazing. As for myself, education is important to me because I was the oldest of 6 kids. And my father drove a beer truck, didn't have a high school education. And I had 2 goals in life, was to be the first person in my family to get a college degree and the first person to play college football. And so I went to a private high school, which I paid for myself, St. Mary's High School in Stockton, because it was college prep. The whole time I was at St. Mary's, I was working on my motorcycle and cars and trying to build stuff, but they had no programs at St. Mary's. I ended up, you know, going to Sacramento State University and playing college football and graduated, and I was a laborer in construction to get through college. So I was at the bottom of the skilled labor department. When I graduated, there were no teaching jobs, so I went right back into construction, and I found carpentry, and I found a passion. You know, I found an option, and I stayed in construction, ended up owning my own company, ended up getting into coaching, and back into teaching. So my whole career has been involved with coaching, teaching, and construction. And the programs we run at Sava, I try and teach real-world experience, real-world life in our courses. And the students, they understand tape measure fluency, they understand getting to work on time, they understand having a work ethic, how to dress properly. Safety is paramount, teamwork is paramount, individual accountability is paramount.
Please wrap up, sir.
They understand blueprint reading, applied geometry, you know, they do real-world programs, and so...
Sir, we have a number of speakers. I'm sorry, your time.
Am I done?
Your time is up.
All right.
3 minutes.
Anyway, I could go on.
So please come up. After this speaker, next up is Damon Conklin.
Thank you for the time that I have to stand here before you. My name is Lisa Kwashnik. I am representing Cabana. We're a housing nonprofit in the area and a community partner with Sava. Right now there are 2 schools in your school district that are building tiny houses for homeless veterans. You are the first school district to have 2 schools building them, but a little healthy competition. Sacramento City Unified School District has caught up with you. So by adding Sava, you will be adding a 3rd school to your district. So, sorry, yeah, a little healthy competition, I like that. I'm just gonna say from my heart, Sava is one of the campuses that I really enjoy visiting, and so I would love for you guys to visit the school. The students are amazing, the faculty is amazing. It's just one of the most pleasurable experiences when you go on the campus. The students that are involved in our program have this give back component to the community, which actually we are finding is inspiring the veterans that they are serving. So it's this circle of service that is happening. The students are inspired by these homeless veterans. The homeless veterans are inspired by what the students are doing for them, and then the veterans are back serving the community that they live in. So I just wanted to be brief and say that we are here to support them 100%.
Thank you very much. So after Mr. Conklin is Sydney, no last name.
Good evening, President, members. My name is Damon Conklin. I'm here on behalf of the Sacramento Regional Builders Exchange and our 1,200 member companies that serve this region in the commercial construction space. We are voicing our strong support for this petition for Sava, and we believe that education and training are important factors to job readiness, and which is critical to the professional success for our industries. for right now, for every construction worker that is preparing for retirement, for every 5 of them, there's only 1 to backfill them in the vocational and CTE programs. And so we are a very proud partner with our educational foundation and Design Build, which has been operating in this area for 30 years. SAVA has been with us during their time to prepare these young students for marketable job readiness skills that will lead to careers. And we just want to re-emphasize the point that college isn't the only pathway to success, and that there are lots of economic opportunities and career pathways in the construction and trades. And with that, we voice our strong support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So do we have Sydney coming up? All right, after Sydney is Ashley Franco. If you can just give your full name for the record.
Sydney Hazewood, and I am an Elk Grove resident.
Excellent.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sydney Hazewood, and I'm currently a senior attending SAVA Charter. First and foremost, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge my amazing teacher. She pushes me to my full potential. She's an extreme help with ensuring that I'm an active participant within my school and community, and overall has been a great asset to my learning environment and overall high school experience. Uniquely, my teacher is like every single teacher and staff member at SAVA Charter. Each teacher and aide have an individual and insatiable drive to do whatever it takes to see the students in school succeed. As you can imagine, this work ethic set by SAVA is fully taken advantage of by its equally driven pupils. And for that very reason, it sets the bar very high for any traditional and independent study school. In my personal experience, SAVA Charter has trumped every high school I've attended. SAVA alone has altered my education experience and enhanced the quality of my education support. Due to health issues, my attendance hasn't always been stellar, but by providing flexibility, SAVA has been able to accommodate my schedule and support me throughout a challenging journey. Without this help, I would not have attained many of my academic achievements. The energy and support given by SAVA and given by teachers and staff at SAVA create a family learning environment, which I believe is essential for the utmost success and personal growth of each student. I believe I speak for majority when I say SAVA creates the best high school experience and broadens our horizons. All of this is possible under the guidance and tutelage of Mr. Elliott and, of course, the amazing staff at SAVA. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hazewood. So after Ashley is Shonda Heacock.
Hello and can you hear me? Hello and good evening. My name is Ashley Franco. I am a graduate from SAVA and I'm also an Elk Grove resident, always have been. During my sophomore year, I got pregnant at the age of 16. I was attending Casinos Oaks High School and my GPA was a 0.86. I was told that I had no chances of graduating. I was also told by administration that I was not allowed to return back as a junior because of my GPA was so low. I had no option to stay in school because I had to provide daycare as being a single mom to the daughter I was going to have. I heard about SAVA from admin and was referred to the school. It was the only independent study school in Elk Grove that was most convenient for me. I didn't have the resources to travel far. Just imagine me with a backpack, diaper bag, and a carry with a baby. Public transportation isn't always the easiest for a single mom like me, being so young. The teachers at SAVA empowered me to accomplish my goal of graduating. Due to a recovering credit situation that I was in, it was very important for me to maximize the amount of credits that I could earn each quarter. They allowed my daughter to come to school with me, and they would watch my daughter if I had any classes that I need to attend, which was very helpful. You could just imagine sitting in class with a crying baby. It's not the best. The tools I learned at SAVA was encouragement to do better, responsibility, not just as a student to graduate on time, but to be a better mom. Sorry, I'm gonna cry. Knowledge, because there is a real world out there that some of us don't learn at a public school. I learned how to budget my money, how to write a simple check for rent, to apply for jobs provide for my daughter, and to apply for college, to get a career. They gave me the confidence that I can and that I will. The balance that I needed as a mother and a daughter. To strive, you need motivation that comes from within. You are your own competition. So even if you're crawling, at least you're moving forward to do better than yesterday. I stayed on track, and in 2011, I completed my 4 years of high school. I walked the stage, and I celebrated with my daughter in my arms. Today, I'm 24 years old, and I am currently employed with the California State Department of Pesticide Regulation. My daughter is in 2nd grade and is doing great, and I'm working towards my degree in social work. SAVA is a place where teachers are more concerned about students achieving and thriving to do better for themselves in school and in life. Without this school, without the help from the teachers and mentors, I would be another Mexican-American statistic, a teenage single mom, and a dropout from high school. SAVA gave me the opportunity and resources to be who I am today and to do what I love, when the public school system would not give me that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. So after Ms. Heacock is going to be Gary Grunwald.
Good evening, Board President, Chair Espinoza, members of the board, and Superintendent Hoffman. My name is Shonda Heacock. I'm a teacher at Sheldon High School, and I love EGUSD. It was everything I could do to become a teacher at EGUSD. I have had one daughter successfully graduate from Franklin High School, who is now attending CRC. My second daughter is a successful junior at Franklin High School, but my third daughter is different. She has struggled through 7th grade and part of 8th grade at Toby Johnson, where she received 504 services. Then the rest of 8th grade at Smedberg, where she qualified for an IEP, and then she struggled through the first quarter at Sheldon High School this year, regardless of the extra help she received with the IEP. The result was always the same. We were stressing over her completing her classwork and her homework. She was in trouble for her behavior and for being late to class. She was serving tons of detentions, Thursday night schools. Imagine that when you're a teacher at that school. I lost my place now, sorry. And then she was also very vulnerable to the influence of other students that was making it an unsafe environment for her at the school, even though I worked there. So we looked at all the options EGUSD had to offer and were available. None of them were good for Cameron. SAVA has been a great success for her this quarter. She's learning the content without me reteaching it every single night. She gets the help she needs in person and over the phone or the internet through people at SAVA. She's not in trouble. She's safe. She is happier, and our family is happier. In addition to helping my daughter, I honestly think EGUSD needs this as an option for high school students. I've seen many of my own students struggle through my classes with accommodations. I give accommodations whether they have an IEP or not. Whatever a student needs, I do my best to help them out. They would definitely benefit, some of those students would definitely benefit from what SAVA has to offer. Some kids are different and need options that can be more tailored to their specific needs. As much as I try, it's extremely difficult with as many as 38 students in a classroom to give each student what they need. Please support SAVA's charter petition to be part of EGUSD so that they can continue doing important work for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Heacock. Okay. And Mr. Grunwald will be our last speaker on this item. Thank you.
Good evening, board members, President Perez Espinoza. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Superintendent Hoffman. My name is Gary Grunwald. I've had 3 different students in Elk Grove Unified School District for 25 years.
3.5 years ago, my son William entered Franklin High School as a freshman. He finished his freshman year with nearly a 4.0 and scored a 5 on his AP exam that he took his freshman year. Starting his sophomore year, he had troubles. He had lack of hope, wasn't motivated to go to school anymore. He was at risk of falling through the cracks of the system. Counselors and teachers were helpful at Franklin, but we still looked into Sava and enrolled William in the fall of 2015, since we thought it was a better choice for him at that point in time. With the loving guidance and respect shown by the Sava staff, William started to want to go to school and study hard again. He had hope again. Sava has truly been a blessing to our family, and we are forever grateful for the dedicated staff. They are some of the most caring people and devoted people I know. Now, I want to make it perfectly, abundantly clear that I think very highly of Elk Grove Unified School District. My daughter and eldest son graduated from Sheldon High School. My daughter went on to UC Santa Barbara and is currently a successful consulting engineer in San Diego. She tells me about the weather all the time, but anyway. My eldest son, went to UC Berkeley and became a captain in the Air Force and is currently working on his PhD at MIT in aerospace engineering. Obviously, Elk Grove Unified School District was very much responsible for their success. I'm humbled to actually be in front of you, and I appreciate your work and efforts. However, for various reasons, some children are at risk at not completing high school and transitioning into society as young adults. In our family's case, Sava was the best fit for William and encouraged him to thrive. Sava has made life-changing differences in our family. The staff are all dedicated, and I can't turn around and look at them because I'm going to get too emotional. They're amazing people. Bobby, I'm sorry. Thank you for making the point to go and visit these locations. Please, if you could all find the time, it's an amazing place. I think this would be a great partnership with Sava to continue to help students in the community. Thank you very much. I can read the
Well, Mr. Grunwald, don't worry, we cry up here all the time. So, having seen all of the public comment, I want to thank you all, students, parents, members of the community who came out to urge support of this petition, to show interest in the charter school being chartered by Elk Grove Unified, and to those of you who spoke, thanks very much. And now I will close the public hearing and announce that this item will be brought back for approval at our January 16th board meeting. So now we get Ms. Hamilton to come up and present the board report on the full petition.
Good evening. President Chavez Espinosa, congratulations.
Thank you.
Ms. Albiani. Board members, Mr. Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. Oh, I better turn on my PowerPoint.
Tech help. Board members, how are we doing? Anybody want to break?
Yeah, break.
Okay, while they work on those tech issues, I'm going to call a brief 5-minute break. We'll be right back. Ms. Hamilton, you ready to take it away?
Are you ready, or do you want to wait for?
I count to 4, so why don't we get started in the interest of time?
Mr. Madison is here. Okay. All right. So I'm here tonight to give you the preliminary findings by our staff who have reviewed a voluminous petition submitted by GCC, Gateway Community Charters, on behalf of SAVA. Because SAVA's presentation was very detailed, there may be aspects of my presentation that I can abbreviate or skip over entirely. But then afterwards we will provide you with opportunity for questions and discussion. Many of the Elk Grove Unified School District staff who were part of this review process are here tonight. So we have subject matter experts if you would like to have questions of them. We also have our legal representative from Lozano Smith, Attorney Ed Sklar, who could answer more technical questions if need be. So the purpose of our discussion tonight is to inform you about the petition and what we gleaned from a very careful and in-depth review of the petition. We have some findings and areas of concern that we'd like to share with you. And as Ms. Chavez-Espinoza said, where we're going with this is to come back at the next board meeting on January 16th and ask you to act on the petition. Between now and then, we will come to a determination on what our recommendation might be to you, but ultimately it's your decision on how to act on this petition. Just to give you some context, and our colleagues here from SAVA already have given you quite a bit of this context, but I'll expand on it as needed. As they stated, SAVA has operated a resource center in Elk Grove for 10 years, more than 10 years. They are currently operating under an authorization by the Twin Rivers Unified School District. They have 4 sites, one in Twin Rivers, 2 in Sac City, and 1 in Elk Grove. Mr. Sample referenced the Anderson case. And so the Anderson case was actually determined by the California Supreme Court. It was brought before the California Supreme Court. I won't go through all the details, but it went through Superior Court, Appellate Court, and then California Supreme Court. A decision was made in 2016, and as a result of that decision, charter schools were informed that they must be authorized by the district in which they are located. For 20 some odd years prior to that, since the authorization of, the approval of the Charter Schools Act in 1992, that had been somewhat of a gray area, and so a number of charter schools such as SAVA were authorized by one district but allowed to operate resource centers in other districts. Again, as Mr. Sample mentioned, the Twin Rivers Board did renew SAVA's petition, but also asked that it address the new Anderson requirement that it become authorized by other districts in which its resource centers were located. And in fact, the Sac City Unified Board acted on November 2nd to conditionally approve SAVA's petition for the 2 charter schools within its boundaries. Let's see, is there anything else here? Yeah, no, I think we've covered all that. So again, SAVA has told you quite a bit about what it does, but just to reiterate, give you, a sense of who the organization is, the corporation, GCC, and SAVA. As I mentioned, they are a non-classroom-based instructional model, largely focusing on independent study using an online curriculum called Edgenuity for their core academic instruction. They do have classroom-based career technical education and electives. They actually require that students earn 20 credits of career technical education as a graduation requirement. They are open to serve students in grades 7 through 12. The large majority of their students are enrolled in grades 11 or 12. In fact, last year, Sava had 456 students at the Elk Grove campus, and 304 of them were 11th or 12th graders. As they said, they focus primarily on high-risk populations, and as I think Mr. Elliott mentioned, their typical student is credit deficient by a year and often several years behind in their basic skills mastery. Just to give a little context on the credit deficiency, typical 12th grader last year came into Sava having maybe earned between 90 and 110 credits and needing to earn another 91 to 101 in order to graduate. So significantly credit deficient. Elk Grove, residents in Elk Grove Unified provided 519 students last year system-wide to Sava's 4 campuses. 456 were enrolled locally. They weren't all from Elk Grove Unified, but the majority of them were. Gateway, before we go on to Gateway, one other demographic I don't think that the Sava presentation touched on, but they do enroll a diverse population. 32% of their students are African American, 29% are Hispanic, 20% are white, 9% are Asian, and 4% are other. And as I mentioned, Gateway Community Charters is the nonprofit corporation that manages Sava. They manage 8 total charter schools, not all Sava campus, not all through Sava in Sacramento County. Sava, their LCAP addresses all 8 goals or 8 priorities of the state priorities. I just pulled out this data to give you an idea about their performance outcomes. They have high expectations. They have a goal in their LCAP that 70% of their students will meet or exceed proficiency rates, or that they will grow, that the proficiency rates will grow by 3% annually. As you can see, their CASP scores in 2016-17 demonstrated that very few of their students are meeting this goal at this point. Their graduation goal also is for growth. You know, they set very high expectations. They mentioned that they will be able to qualify, that Sava will be able to qualify for the new dashboard alternative school status that was just approved in spring 2017, which will allow them to report credit eligible students. So I've given you the comparison. If you look at their cohort graduation rate, which is what Elk Grove Unified School District's comprehensive high schools use, it was 24%. But of their credit eligible students, 80% in 16-17 graduated. Okay, so some of the rules for what we're doing here. The Charter Schools Act of 1992 opened the door for publicly funded charter schools. They must be authorized by local school districts or county boards or the State Board of Education. Interestingly, the Act and the legislation and then Ed Code don't provide criteria for approving charter schools. Instead, they provide criteria for denying charter schools. And governing boards are given direction on how the findings of fact that they may consider in order to deny a petition. And there are 6 areas. And if a board feels that there is a significant failing in any one of these areas, they may determine that they need to deny a charter petition. Those areas are that the petition does not describe a sound educational program, that it is not likely to successfully implement the program, and this usually refers to the operational components of a charter school. They failed to provide the prescribed number of signatures. They failed to provide the required affirmations. They failed to reasonably describe all 15 elements, or they failed to declare whether the charter school shall be deemed the exclusive public employer for collective bargaining purposes. So before we can look at all of those things, and we do very carefully, and the petitioners, it should be noted, make great effort to describe how they address those areas. Before we do that, we start our process with the presentation to the board of the petition, and that happened at the last board meeting on November 7th. Sava, Jason Sample brought it to you and submitted it to you. However, Sava had delivered the petition to the superintendent's office in October. And so our staff has been reviewing the petition since we received it in early October. We included on our staff team members from 8 different district departments. After going through our initial review of the petition, identifying our initial findings, we've been engaged in conversation with Sava as well as with Lozano Smith to just really start trying to understand what we had read, clarifying questions that we've had. On November 15th, a team of 6 of us representing 3 of our departments visited the Sava Elk Grove campus. So this has been our process up to today. One thing I left out is we brought this to cabinet last week for consideration. So our charge is to come back to you on January 18th and present our findings. They need to be findings of fact, and these findings of fact are what will ultimately be the foundation for our recommendation about acting to approve or acting to deny the petition. They will be the consensus of all of our district reviewers with regards to both the educational program and the school operations. The areas of concern that we have identified to date fall into 2 of the 6 criteria I previously mentioned that could support denial. And the 2 broad areas are whether or not the petition demonstrates a likelihood to successfully implement the program, and whether the petitioners have reasonably described all 15 elements. We have gaps. We see gaps at this point. So that's what I'm going to tell you about. So the first area, whether or not the petition demonstrates the capacity to successfully implement the program. We had one significant area of concern around the budget, specifically around the budget and the viability of the financial plan. We want to know more about the loans. They are seeking over, they described in the petition that they would be seeking over $1 million in loans in the first 2 years to cover cash flow. We also have questions about the assumptions that GCC used to develop Sava's budget in terms of using Twin Rivers unduplicated pupil percentage and not Elk Grove's. And so as I think Mr. Perez asked during Sava's presentation, what are we supposed to do? May a charter school use its business office to determine the unduplicated pupil percentage, or should it be the district in which the school is located? Our legal interpretation is that it should be the district in which the school is located. And so that's, as I'm sure you know, our unduplicated pupil percentage is significantly different from Twin Rivers. So we need to have some continued conversations about this. It could have a significant impact on their budget projections. We also have questions about their staffing model and how they handle their indirect payments back to GCC, their charter management organization. Since I wrote this presentation last week, we have already received some additional information from SAVA that's going to help us address some of our questions about the staffing model. They share staff amongst the 4 campuses, and we are not sure that we read how that is incorporated into their budget. For example, counselors, or for example, the principal. Principal Elliott is principal of all 4 SAVA campuses, and we need to know more about how his salary is represented in the SAVA Elk Grove Unified School District's budget. Counselors serve multiple campuses, and so again, we want to better understand how those salaries are represented in the budget. We also just have some questions to confirm about startup costs. Will there really be limited startup costs since this is an existing school, or are there things that we should consider in evaluating the budget? We'd like to know more about their corporation's internal controls and how those relate to the other charter schools that GCC operates. We had one question about the adequacy of the facility, and that's simply that we have not yet seen a lease with the building that they are occupying. So that's a fairly simple request. In terms of the reasonability of their description of the 15 elements, there are several of the 15, again, where we have some gaps. And, you know, these gaps, it may be that we are not finding the information that we need. It may be that we are unclear about the assumptions of the information that was provided. We note that, for example, 17% of their 2016-17 student population at the Elk Grove campus were English learners. But we don't see a comprehensive description of some elements of their English language development plan, for example, regarding reclassification processes or uses of the state-required testing tools. With regards to their special education plan, last year 22% of their population in Elk Grove qualified as special ed. We have questions about whether their plans for students really address the special needs of every learner, as opposed to being more of a uniform approach that is applied across all learners and not customized to meet the needs of individual learners. We'd like to know more about what their process would be to report performance data to our district, as well as what their process would be to transition students as needed back to their home districts. In terms of government, we would like to see more information about how parents are involved in their governance process and informed about their governance process. We also had questions about one statement in their governance section about how they would seek to pursue future opportunities, and whether or not those opportunities would present potential conflicts of interest, and whether or not those opportunities should go through the material amendment process through our board before they were pursued. In regards to staff qualifications, we had one question about counselors. We did not see a counselor job description anywhere in their several hundred page petition. That has now been approved by their board as of last Thursday night, and we have a copy of that. We are curious to know more about the qualifications of their CTE teachers and their teachers of other electives, and whether or not they are credentialed teachers, and if not, why. We have some questions around health and safety. We would like to make sure that the site is secured with a certification of occupancy. With regards to their racial and ethnic balance, one requirement of charter schools is that they enroll a student body that reflects the demographics of the communities of their authorizing district. And as you know, our district is very diverse. And so in order to ensure that they are able to adequately recruit a population that resembles our district, we would recommend that they translate their literature into other languages than Spanish, which is what was stated in the petition. We find that some of the descriptions about their lottery rules could be more specific, more detailed. They would go into a lottery if they have more students interested in enrolling than they have the capacity to serve. And the lottery process is very specific in the way that it should be managed. Additionally, charter schools have to identify their lottery preferences should they need to go to a lottery. And Ed Code requires that, or asks that students of the district that where the school is located have priority over non-EGUSD or non-district students. And their current lottery preferences could favor non-EGUSD students over EGUSD students. So that's a question that we have. Finally, element N refers to dispute resolution, and that is the language that they include in the petition seems to go beyond simply establishing a process to resolve conflicts, and instead seems to impose requirements upon the district. So that's language that we need to make the board aware of and get input from the board about whether that is language that we're comfortable with. So our next steps, about to lose my batteries here. We will continue to work with SAVA. We will be meeting with representatives from SAVA, in fact, on December 14th to address these concerns. We will ask that SAVA update its petition as appropriate by January 2nd to give our staff enough time to return to the petition, review any language that's been changed, determine whether that addresses our concerns adequately enough prior to the January 16th meeting. We need to be able to make our final recommendations and present you with a comprehensive report explaining our recommendations. Some items, though, may not be adequately addressed through these conversations and any amendments that are made to the petition. And if the board decides to act to approve the petition, they may need to be addressed through an MOU process. But we believe that it is our responsibility as a district and your responsibility as a board to be not only transparent in this process, but to assure that any charter that is authorized by our district has demonstrated that we have confidence that they have demonstrated that they will succeed in their endeavors. As one of you, maybe Ms. Singh Allen, referenced earlier, the last thing we want is to see a charter close mid-year or even at the end of the year and have several hundred children be without a school. And so we want to have confidence that not only will the school succeed, but that their students will thrive and succeed. And so that is a responsibility that we take very seriously, and we will continue with the review process so that we can come back to you with the best recommendation possible so that you can have confidence that you are making the right decision. With that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hamilton. So bearing in mind, members, that this is a first look, if you will, at the charter petition, and we'll have staff, hopefully, will have received more information next time. Do we have any questions for Ms. Hamilton?
Can I get a copy of your presentation?
It wasn't.
It's not in the attachment, it's just the.
It's an agenda online.
You should have had.
I'm on it, I don't see it.
It's on there.
It's the bottom.
It's way at the bottom.
Look at here.
We'll
So
get there.
I just want to clarify what you have, and if you don't have it, we want to provide it for you. You should have.
Guys.
You should have three things. You should have this PowerPoint, you should have the board report, and you should have the petition itself. And so,
And a lot of attachments.
a lot of attachments.
Yeah.
Yes, so
figure
we
it out.
can do hard copies, we can do soft copies, we can readdress whether or not it's in gamut.
We'll confirm with you, Ms. Singh, and make sure you have what you need.
Yeah, if it's not working, we'll have it emailed.
Yes.
Anything else? Okay, we're continuing to have tech issues on our end tonight. Any other questions?
Just for your presentation, this is hard copy here, I want that. You do have a lot of attachments.
Yes.
I'm not asking for that.
So the PowerPoint, not the staff report.
Yeah. I guess I'd like to have staff report.
Okay.
Because the PowerPoint is what it is.
There is a staff report.
There is one.
Yeah.
It's in there.
All right. So we'll.
I don't think you're hearing this. Like to have, now it has
Hard copy.
hard
All right.
Okay.
Can do.
I'm sure Ms. Avalos will make that happen. So, any questions not pertaining to documents?
Yes.
This might be a little out of the scope, but so they receive children that are so credit deficient, and then once they try to help them catch up, if they hit 12th grade and they don't, what happens?
But they do, I don't even know who's behind me. They may have, there may be people who can better address that than me, but they do take fifth-year seniors.
Oh, okay, that's what I wanted to know.
So that is embedded in their process.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Hamilton?
You had mentioned that budget data was based on San Juan Unified numbers.
Twin Rivers.
Twin Rivers.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
LCFF projections.
But, okay, so are all the monies just commingled?
Shannon, before I just put my foot in it.
The budget that was submitted that we reviewed was, they had LCFF funds in there. What we couldn't see was the actual LCFF calculator. What they mentioned in their budget narrative was that they were using Twin Rivers' unduplicated percentage of the 83%. Ours is significantly less and continues to decline. So what we couldn't see in there is of their supplemental concentration grant, what the two values were that made up the total within their budget. What I asked to see would be their actual demographics by grade level and by setting, so we could actually look at their LCFF calculation to see if it's reasonable.
I have so many questions, and I'm struggling with them, and I don't know if they're appropriate now. Wait till you come back again. If this is a program, and I'm going to make, at the end of my comments, I'm going to make just an assumption. If this is a program that's been successful over time, and conditionally received approval again, pending compliance with Anderson, are we being overly cautious, or are there points that are significant enough to be concerned about?
I don't think
That's
we're being.
where
I don't think we're being overly cautious. I think the conversation has been productive, and but if in the previous model, if you were chartered in a district that had a different LCFF formula, and you were outside of that, you were using that the difference between an 83% unduplicated count and something in the mid 50s. That's dramatically different. That's the piece we need to make sure we're clear about. And if one thing, for the charter itself, to answer that question, if I was running the charter and I came to the conclusion that, it is supposed to be based on the district where the school is located, and we were under the assumption it was 83, I would have to go back and look and see, can I run the program that I want to run with a significantly different funding source. So we're going through pieces. I think there's going to be answers to many of these things. We do recognize it's run successfully for 10 years, and not to say anything about other districts, but Elk Grove Unified and the team that's here is going to make sure. Our goal is, if this charter is approved, is that it's successful. It not being successful is terrible for them and the kids, and it puts a significant strain on us in how we would have to try to figure out to meet those needs. So we're not going to be overly critical. We actually, as we went back, we debated back and forth about how many questions we were going to ask and at what level. And I think we came to what we think is a fair interpretation of a really complicated decision with regards to having a charter, and ultimately that this board is going to have significant responsibility for and oversight for, and will have to answer questions. And so we want to make sure we all clearly understand, and everybody in a very transparent and fair way understands what SAVA is asking us to do, and then they're clear about the ask, we're clear about the ask, and then the ultimate decision, we're all very clear about what the decision is. So we don't want 2 years down the road, well, we thought X, or we thought Y. There was a misinterpretation up front. So this is the messiest part of the whole work. But I think we will get it right. And in the end, everybody will know what we're entering into. And that's the work of the staff to do that. It's just critical.
And if I may add on to that, should the board act to approve this charter, then we have a new role as the authorizer. We are monitoring. We continue to monitor the charter to assure their success. We have to be mindful when they come back to ask for renewal that they have been successful. So if you were to consider approving it, I would want to be able to give you the assurance that it has been described accurately in the petition and or the MOU what the expectations are for ongoing performance and how we are going to monitor and assure their continued success.
Any other questions for Ms. Hamilton?
Go ahead.
I thought I heard that you mentioned that we may not get some documents back.
So far, they've been very responsive for everything we've asked for. They have provided.
But I heard you say something regarding we might not get all.
I think that was your reference about we might need to settle some things in an MOU.
Oh, just in terms of trying to get down to this level of confidence that we've addressed everything. We will do as much as we can through the petition process. There just might be some things that are better left for an MOU, and I can't tell you off the top of my head what that would be.
My concerns were that if those items were important in the process, so they weren't.
If we were to, in the next 3-4 weeks, if we were to ask for something, whether it's information or a document, and we're not satisfied with the response we were given, then that would go into the report that we come back and give you in early January.
And the board could do something along the lines of a conditional approval. We're going to approve it, but we still need X, Y, or Z. My understanding is Sacramento City Unified actually did a conditional approval with the piece that needed to be removed from the petition, and I believe that happened outside of the petition timelines. But the reality is we have a set of timelines that are in law, and the January 16th date is when the board is going to have to make a decision. But even at that point, if we may not, if there is a winter break in the middle of this, and then there's a quick timeline turning around to get to the 16th, our board agendas are done, well ahead of that date. So there's just a bunch of pieces that go in there. So we say we may not have every single piece of information on the night the decision's made. The preponderance of evidence at that point is what we'll make the recommendation to the board with, and we may ask the board to say, please also let us collect this other couple pieces of information as we finish up the MOU.
Okay, Mr. Madison?
I just want to comment. I think our superintendent really described it very well. You know, we just want to make certain as a district that we have all the information, I think, and that's what you're providing us. And even though on the surface, and I'm sure Sava's done a good job, and they have been around us a long period of time, but now it's in a different lens, so to speak. So we want to make certain that they're successful, and we're going to be continued as successful school districts to oversee, to make certain things are done properly. So I appreciate the investigation on that.
Yes.
Thank you.
We will have an ongoing responsibility if we approve this charter school.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Hamilton, and we look forward to receiving some updated, hopefully more complete information after the new year.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Getting that in the Friday.
Yes, okay. Thank you, folks. Moving ahead to action items, Ms. Shannon Hayes will present the first interim financial report.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. Tonight I bring to you the 2017-18 first interim report. Tonight we'll go through the changes to the budget since the 45-day revise, and then upon conclusion of my report, any questions you may have, we will ask the board to take action to approve the financials that are attached in your packet. So part of our cycle, I wanted to remind everybody where we're at. We have our annual budget development cycle we'll talk about, our 2017 student enrollment, our first interim unrestricted general fund budget changes, the actual first interim budget, our components of our multi-year projections, the actual multi-year projections, and then where we go next. As part of our budget development cycle, we adopted our budget by June 30th. The state then approves their budget. August 15th is when we would, by law, have to publish our 45-day revise, of which you guys took action in July. September 15th, the district prepares the 2016-17 unaudited actuals. December 15th, we have to submit our 2017-18 first interim. March 15th, we have to submit our second interim. And then January 10th is our preview of the 2018-19 budget proposal from the governor, and then the May revise for 2018-19. We do look over time, the last 10 years, of where our enrollment has landed for our CBEDs. For 2017-18, our census date, we had 62,426 kids enrolled, up from last year at 62,185. CBEDs growth year over year, this year we had a growth of 241 students. And then some of the changes from our adopted budget to first interim were changes in the governor's approved budget, carryover balances that were recognized through unaudited actuals in the presentation we brought to you in September. And then we did establish a one-time budget for electric buses and then one replacement bus. So again, the changes in revenue, we had a $2 million deficit at 45-day revise. We did recognize an additional $700,000 in estimated ADA for LCFF. And then because we are no longer in deferral status, which we're very excited about, we actually had interest earnings. So last year we saw $1.5 million come in interest earnings. We had a budget at adoption of $500,000, so we did increase that by an additional $1 million. So coming forward, we had an additional $1.7 million we've recognized in revenue. Changes in expenditures. As you recall, in September, we brought to you the unaudited actuals, and we had a number of carryover reserves that we established at that point in time. We did go back through and evaluate all of those different things. Transportation van pool is one of those where we do earn credits from other schools that use our vans, and so we have a reserve of $300,000. Summer School Expanded Learning and Intercession, that's our summer school program that starts in May and crosses our fiscal period, so this is to finish out the rest of summer school. So our schools will be spending these funds through May 30th of 2018. We have 2016-17 board priorities that you guys all approved that for various different reasons those projects were not complete. We did thorough analysis through cabinet and evaluated of those funded priorities that were not fully expended, which of those did we need to bring back to finish that work. So 2.5 million of those. Instructional materials adoptions, there was another $1 million, an expense that we want to keep within that program so they can finish their work. Technology utility, another 2.7. Purchase order carryover, those are purchase orders that school sites and departments actively tried to purchase their goods or services by June 30th, but for whatever the reason, those goods or services were not received. But we don't want schools and departments to start in a deficit, so we do carry over. If they had funds remaining, we carry over those to go with the specific purchase orders. Then our electric bus program, we have $600,000 that we're using as match as required in order to access those buses. And we had one bus that was damaged in an accident back in July that we are now budgeting for that as well. You guys took action previously for some bargaining unit reclasses. That's included in there, and then additional indirect, which is actually a reduction in expenditures for a total of a $9 million adjustment of increased expenditures. That leaves us with a deficit in the 2017-18 school year of $9.3 million. So this is what we look like. So when we adopted the budget, we were deficit spending 10.9. That's a conscious deficit. Those were one-time funding priorities for the most part that you guys took action to approve that we have in the budget. The 45-day revise is essentially decreased that deficit by about $8 million-ish and some change, and we had some lottery changes with new lottery projections. So our deficit then changed to 1.9. And the 9.3 is where we sit today based on those expenditures that have happened that we just discussed. As we look to the bottom line, the reserve for funding priorities is kind of our balancing act, if you will. So there's $61.8 million that's available that we have sitting in a reserve waiting for action from you guys. $6.5 million, I want to just point out that that is actually a funding priority from prior year for textbook adoptions. Geraldine Ewing, in her due diligence, negotiated an awesome price for our district, and so we had a significant amount of savings from that funding priority. That priority was $9 million that was approved for 2016-17, so 6.5 of that is still remaining to continue textbook adoptions and instructional materials. So components of our multi-year projection for 2018-19 and 19-20, we're estimating an additional ongoing revenue amount of $13 million and 15.6. For revenues, again, we're estimating flat enrollment based on our 2017-18 CBEDS numbers. That is one area that we are going to start looking at to see if we need to start building in a growth factor going forward. We've been seeing on a consistent basis now for the last 3 years about 200 kids increase year over year, so we are going to take a hard look at that to make sure that we're projecting revenues accurately. On the flip side of that, we do adjust expenditures to accommodate for any projections and any growth we have with students. So for expenditure side, we are continuing the 2017-18 staffing levels, which are in our budget guidelines and they're formula-based numbers that generates the FTE. Special education growth, and then our district healthcare premium, we have an increase of 4% in fiscal year 2018-19, and then 8% for 2019-20. We do have an ongoing budget that we've been monitoring for ACA. Fortunately for our district, we're not seeing a huge increase in that area, but we do continue to monitor it. And then we do have the appropriate increases for both CalSTRS and CalPERS. So this is the last multi-year projection you saw with the unaudited actuals and the 45-day revise. Again, $1.9 million deficit spending. We have a surplus of 1.6 in 18-19 and then deficit spending about 3.4 million. With the adjustments we just discussed, you can see that in 18-19 school year we now have 13 million in there and then another 15 million in 19-20. We did have a slight adjustment for 2018-19. Is a decrease of about $700,000 in the estimated new revenue, and that is because the governor has changed in his adopted budget the out years and the amount of percentage gap closure. So currently for first interim, we're projecting a $9.4 million deficit in year 1, 2.6 million surplus in year 2, and a slight small $500,000 deficit in 2019-20. So we're very, very anxious to see what the governor proposes for 2018-19. Hoping it's good news. We've been watching the cash flows from the state controller's office, and we're not, up 1 month and down the next like we were last year. So hopefully the $8 million he gave us in one-time funds does become ongoing. That would be huge for us. So with that, the upcoming events will be the governor's budget in January, second interim may revise, and then we'll be bringing back our 2018-19 adopted budget already. That's crazy for me, but yes, we're already there already. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions about the budget presentation? Anybody over here?
I do.
All right, go right ahead.
Page 7, you mentioned that we earned $1 million, right? That's great. How, on what bank account? I mean, what was that reserves?
The 1 million on page
How,
7?
how did we, interest
the
on what?
interest?
Yeah.
So we have interest earnings. So when we don't have deficits coming from the state as far as our apportionment and the cash that we receive, and we're fully cash funded, then we get paid interest. And we have had an interest expense for a number of years, and so we are now getting additional funds for the fact that we have that much cash sitting in the bank.
But was this the first year that we earned $1 million? I don't recall that.
For fiscal year 2016-17, we actually physically received 1.5 million in
Last year
interest.
too, huh?
And that was new. So we had projected about 500,000. It just came up that much higher. So we want
Much
to catch up
higher,
with
yeah.
that. Our interest rate stays about the same. I don't recall what the percentage is off the top of my head, but it doesn't fluctuate greatly. So as long as we don't have deferrals from the state, we should realize that same 1.5 million coming forward.
Very good. Then hold on, I wasn't sure about, I thought we had 13 and then a 15 million for increase in 2019-20 on the LCAP, but do you have, what was the reasoning why you didn't put 15 in that particular estimate?
Can you give us a page number so we can follow?
Page 10. Well, yes, okay, we have a 13, well, let's go back to 9. You said we had 13 million and a 15 million increase within those. Where does that, I thought you, on page 10, that would be reflected on the second line item.
So the original amounts were 13.7 and 13.8. That's what's on slide 10. We've now updated it for new information. So on page 11, it dropped from 13.7 down to 13. And the 13.8 is now 15.6.
Again, those are estimates based on what was in the governor's budget.
Any other questions for Ms. Hayes?
What about Measure M? We're going to get more money?
That is not part of the general fund.
So we sold the first set of bonds, so $82 million, that was the first round, and those are the projects we're working on now. Obviously, different fund, not in general fund, but the first selling of the bonds was $82 million. So we did cover that in a previous presentation, but I can forward that board communication that has that information for you.
Okay, yeah, I think I saw that, yeah, okay. So you don't factor Measure M in this at all?
No, it's not a factor. It doesn't even play with our interest, yeah. It's completely separate.
I mean, you could have a line item.
No, that'd be illegal.
Okay.
Me too, please.
Yeah. Anything else, Mr.
That's
Hayes?
it.
All right. Any other questions for Ms. Hayes? Thank you very much. Okay, so thank you for the reminder, sir. I'd like to call for a motion to approve the 2017-18 first interim financial report. So moved by Mr. Madison, second by Ms. Singh Allen. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Measure passes. And next item is appointment of a representative to the Elk Grove Unified School, from the district to the CSBA Delegate Assembly. And we have had Ms. Singh Allen and Ms. Martinez O'Leary serving in the course of the last year. I would like to call for a motion to appoint or reappoint our delegate, our representative.
And so in this case, it's only, Crystal's term isn't up, so this one is only, yes, this one is only for Bobby in this particular
Bobby's
case.
position only.
Yep.
Are you interested? Excellent. Do we have a motion? And do we have a second? Moved and seconded. All in favor of reappointing Ms. Singh Allen? Aye. Measure passes. Thank you. Now we are up to board member and superintendent reports. Just a reminder, these are about board subcommittee business. Everything else is in other items from the floor. So do we have any reports starting to my...
Yes, I am a delegate assembly member, so I will give you my report. I did attend the delegate assembly meeting in San Diego. I'll bring at the next board meeting some actual material to share because there is some good stuff worth sharing. But just general synopsis of sort of what we do and how these set of meetings went. We did work with our colleagues throughout the state and identifying legislative priorities. And we had different breakout sessions of different key items that were most important to all of us, and there were common themes that did come up. So I'll share with you those strands and what that looked like. I'll send that out to you. Well, actually, I sent it to Chris. You can send it out. It's that whole Brown Act thing. And we did do election of officers, so that was great. I guess the family and community engagement, that presentation would be under a different report, not this one. So delegate assembly is a committee, so went to that. It was great. Thank you. And I'll be bringing you material for that.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else over here? Any? Okay. Mr. Madison? Mr. Forcina? Okay. I also did not have anything. We have an upcoming 2x2 with the CSD later this week, but that's upcoming. Nothing since the last report. Okay. Other items from the floor, starting to my right. Anything? All right. That's a good sentiment. So, Mr. Madison?
Yeah, most of us, we went to the CSBA conference, and I would think next couple of meetings, we might be able to share a point or two that each of us attended and get information out of that. So without that, I just want to wish all my staff and colleagues a good holiday coming up, and you can kind of decompress for a little bit. Thank you.
I'm going to ditto Chet. Happy holidays. Enjoy your time off and refresh.
Feliz Navidad.
Alrighty then. So I do have some, I did present at CSBA family and community engagement to the Urban School District group during a luncheon with our FACE, Family and Community Engagement officer, or I don't know what the official title is, but Ms. Lisa Lavasser. We did co-present, so that went really well. I did co-host upon an invite of a parent, an anti-bullying forum at Elk Grove Elementary School. I have to say it was very eye-opening. I learned a lot. It was an excellent opportunity to just listen what parents had to share. I will do a write-up on that on just different ideas. I know we did have some staff there, so hopefully they shared internally some of those dynamics. But I will do sort of a summation and maybe some ideas. Ironically, after that forum, I've had a number of parents reach out to me on different things and just different suggestions that we could do. For example, I do know that at one of our elementary schools on their Facebook page, or I think it's their website, they do now have an opportunity to report bullying anonymously if they don't want to, if nobody wants to put their name attached to anything. They are taking that. So there are different ideas and strategies, but you know, we do great work, and I appreciate the staff that was able to be there to share some of that. But there's, like anything else, there's still more work to be done and maybe some little opportunities that we can improve on. So I will be doing probably more of those. I did learn just that opportunity to connect with the community and how important it is to be available to parents. They can come here, but just being in sort of a non-formal environment, it really worked well. We didn't have a ton of people, but we had a decent turnout, 25 people or so. So it wasn't bad for that first time. So that was like I said, it was very important. So I'm going to continue doing probably one or two more over the next year, and it may not necessarily be on bullying. It could be on other issues, but I did find a lot of value in just being out there and just listening. So That's all I have. And
Okay.
Feliz Navidad, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, all that fun stuff.
I'll be very quick then, just to add that I was fortunate enough to witness Missing Ellen and Lisa Lavasser's presentation to that Urban School Districts group, and they did a fantastic job. I know that they were besieged afterward with lots of other folks asking for questions and more information on that program. So they're spreading lessons learned across the state. It was great to see. I was mostly busy wearing my staff hat at the annual conference. I did a couple of different presentations on facilities, on effective lobbying, imagine that. I'll talk in the future about an advisory committee that I've been asked to join on the City of Elk Grove side. They're trying to find out what residents would like to see and, kind of a needs assessment, if you will, on the City of Elk Grove side. And they're putting together a pretty big advisory committee. It may or may not inform a future revenue measure on their part. So I'll have more information for you guys and specifically how to participate in their information gathering efforts. Thank you so much, everyone, colleagues. I appreciate the opportunity to serve in this position. I will endeavor to do a great job for all of you and everybody that we serve together. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Meeting adjourned.